welcome to West Monroe. We are here at the induction ceremony for the 2026 class of the NWBA Hall of Fame. My name is Matt Scott, Paralympic gold medalist, Hall of Famer, and I'm going to be your host at the red carpet here today. And I get a chance to talk to some other Hall of Famers, some legends of the game, and some people that you're going to want to hear from. And let's start with today. We're going to talk with the chairman of the NWBA Hall of Fame, Mr. Dave Kiley. Welcome, my friend.
What up, Matt?
How you doing?
Really good, man. Really good.
Okay. Well, remind the people, as chairman of the NWBA Hall of Fame, remind us what that entails.
Well, it is a focus during the season, almost as though you were a player, trying to win a championship, and putting in all the work and preparation to get you to a point that the people who are getting inducted can be so proud and feel the vibe of a ceremony that mimics all what they see on television in pro sport, college sport, and that's what I chase. I chase perfection of this event.
Perfection of this event. And one thing that I feel when I came into the building today, you feel a bit of prestige, and just like this prestige just keeps rising and rising every year, and that's obviously a testament of what you're bringing. How do you what gives you that responsibility? What makes you feel that responsibility to rise the prestige every single year?
Well, once you start and you're driven, which you can relate to yourself, we're driven to be the best version of what we do for others. And I have the experience of being inducted and not really understanding how it could have been back in 2000 when I did get inducted. And I've seen others that I've been a part of that were just a few friends and family showing up. And once Frank Burns passed and left me no choice but to take over in his role, I knew that I would never have an event that didn't just shout out loud that this is the way it's supposed to be.
And serving others is a great way to put that. And I know tonight is about so many others that have paved the way for this sport and have their own set of accolades. But before this night goes any further, it's really my honor to give you your flowers for creating this prestige, for creating this event, and making sure that they are getting the night they deserve. One thing that I want to ask you is about the famous call from the hall. So we talked a little bit earlier about the call from the hall. I got one from you. My class of 2025 got one for you. This class has their own unique stories about the call from the hall. Without me spoiling too much about that call, what goes into that, and what's is somebody helping you with those creativity and all of that? Let me know about the call from the hall.
Yeah, it's a great thing to talk about. It came from our marketing partner. It was her idea that we should do something like that and record it. And then we decided to get a little devious with it, and early on it was easy to invite somebody that thought they were going to get an invitation or be on my podcast. And then the years started to, man, I can't keep using the podcast thing. And, but the organic replies and reaction is beyond, they're so fun to watch. And I know there's some, to cut through the chase, there's some lying going into why they're on the phone with me. And to continue that, it just makes it kind of that much more fun for me, is to see them react to something totally different than what they ever expected, and then get the reaction. I said, no, none of what I told you was true. I'm calling you to let you know that you are been inducted into the NWBA Hall of Fame.
I think it's becoming a rite of passage. And I think we're all sharing all of our stories about it.
Yeah. Well, and we got a year between now and then. People forget.
Yeah.
I've learned that. They just forget.
Yeah.
And I do have help. This last year was all help from other people. That assisted me in the shenanigans.
You definitely have created a prestige. We get together and we talk about these call from the hall moments.
Yeah.
And it's a tradition that I hope that you continue. And now that we're talking about tradition and continuing, what do you hope for the Hall of Fame in 10 years from now?
Well, I know one thing. It's going to continue to grow and look very much different from what it is now. I've learned that. Our association and our relationship with Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame, who knows where that relationship's going to go. Now we're into our third year, rubbing elbows with some of the greatest. We did that together last year. John DeLeva and his marketing team have embraced us, and we have street cred with Naismith now, and so that's the type of relationships we have to search out, and in particular, this one could really set the course for many others.
Tell me a little bit more about the individuals of this class. Like, what makes this class of 2026 so special?
Well, I want everybody to understand that it's quite a balancing act to select. We have a very a procedure, policy kind of based approach to this, but yet, you have to think about a player's classification. You can't just go all 4.5s, 3.0s. You've got to show love to the lower class that are best at their class in the world. You've got to make sure that women are totally brought to this level as well, and then you have to look beyond just of what I might call new school moving, and Kathy Miller is a great example. She was a pioneer of the women's division when it first started, and then became just a baller, to earn the respect of her peers and be selected. So there's a lot that goes into it to get to the 4 inductees, and but I have a team of committee members that are just bona fide, roll up their sleeves, and are very educated in ball sport and what we do at the Hall of Fame.
And lastly, DK, if you could give advice to these future Hall of Famers, because they've been inducted, but they haven't put that jacket on yet. They haven't put that ring on yet. If you could give them some advice for tonight, or something that they can look back on tonight, what would it be?
Well, every individual, every inductee, it's going to be their own experience, and my advice would be to just go with it. Feel the pride of the moment, and no matter what your age, what your classification, whether you're a contributor or you're a player, you are now in the NWBA Hall of Fame.
And that NWBA blue. You look great tonight, man. And thank you for putting tonight on. This has been incredible.
You know it.
Man.
Thank you,
I think
brother.
we got Jim Glatch over here getting ready to come over. Tonight is going to be such a special night. We're talking to the best of the best, and the Hall of Fame is exactly that. Our next guest is going to be Mr. Jim Glatch. I'm excited for this interview because I'm excited for this interview. For those of us at home, we just got finished speaking to the NWBA Hall of Fame chairman, David Kiley. My name is Matt Scott, Paralympic gold medalist, and I'm sitting here with Jim Glatch. Talk to me, my friend. How are you feeling tonight?
A little nervous, which is unusual for me, but it's such an incredible honor to be going in the Hall of Fame with all you. You guys are already in there. Some of you I've coached, some I've coached against, some I've learned from. I look back over the history of the organization and the Hall of Fame, and some of the people that are a part of it. I'm just like amazed that I'm going to be a member. I'm going to be a part of that family, so it's pretty cool.
It's well deserved. And before we go any further, allow me to give you your flowers. Having led your program at Edinburgh for so long and doing so many great things with that program and taking that experience and going all the way to the world stage, where you were able to get us on the podium for the first time since the 80s. Please allow me to give you your flowers, because that was incredible. My first Paralympic medal was under your leadership, and I can only say thank you for that.
Thank you, you guys. That was a heck of a team. That was a great group of guys. Actually, very easy to coach. It was amazing. You go into a practice with USA, and you say, "This is how we do it," and we do it, and then we say it one more time, and it's done. In the transition from college to national is so much different, where in college you're teaching over and over and over and over again. And so the ability, even though you only get together a few times a year, to build the team chemistry and the understanding of what everybody needs to do, that's just phenomenal. And so that was a lot of fun. My faith and belief in that group of guys was off the charts. We had yourself along with 11 other guys who were in their college career All-Americans, in their professional careers, the best of their teams. And, the only thing I asked is that, we play as one. And everybody checked their ego, and the result of that was the bronze. And that was the best moment in my coaching career, because we did it in Great Britain, against Great Britain, and I knew what kind of a thorn in the side they had been. So that was even a better thing to have happen.
That's right. I loved how you talked about that difference between making the jump from the college programs onto the world stage. What do you think about your experience at the Edinburgh program and your leadership there? What do you think about that experience prepared you for the world stage?
I think one of the things was having an opportunity to develop a team that, a lot of people don't realize Edinburgh kind of had a program, but they had never won. They didn't recruit. And so when we started the program, when I got there in 95, it was all about build, 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 build. When I got to USA, I felt like we were at that same point with the USA basketball program is, okay, we have to build. But I think what helped that process goes back to 01, and then I was the head coach in 09. And those two junior teams, I'm sure the 05 was a big part of it too. That was how we built. And it wasn't, the other part of it is at Edinburgh, we had to play as a team, because it was rare that we had that one person that stuck out. And that was true from 01 through 09 with those junior programs. You look back, you were 16. We had Holly, we had Opie, we had Josh Turek, Campbell was there, Jay Nelms, Mikey Pay, and then you go to 09 and you've got Sario, you got both the class ones, Johnny G and Les, and Trayvon, Nate Hines, Brian Bell. That's and right. So you look at that, and I put that experience from Edinburgh as far as, okay, I have to build from the ground up, and Tracy and TC and myself, and then myself and DK and Miles kind of did a lot of that work to get us to 12, and then what you guys were able to accomplish after that, because a lot of those names have gold medals next to it.
That's right. That's right. I think it's interesting how you talked about the rarity it is to have a player in the college ranks that is going to take you and just take you past everyone else, or just carry the program. you developed some world-class players, which I hope that you're very proud of.
Yeah.
Two that come to mind are Jose Leap from Colombia and, of course, Trayvon Jennifer from Team USA.
Yeah.
Those are two well-known, well-established players that you had the ability to mold and create into the players that they are today. Tell me a little bit about those players before I get into what, who they are and now. But tell me about who they were when they got to you.
So Jose had been out off the scene really for a couple of years. In juniors, he was a pretty good ball player. It was fun watching him play juniors. I was obviously recruiting him, and it was the same time Opie was in, and those two would battle.
Yeah.
And so it was fun to just kind of watch that process unfold. You could just see he was very competitive, but he was out of control, but he was very confident. It was a very silent confidence in him. Trey, I saw it in the Illinois camp when he was a young kid, and what I remember about him was he was fast, he was long, and he always had this huge smile on his face. And so Bill Green and I would talk all the time, and when he left playing basketball for a couple of years, we thought he was gone forever, and Bill called me up and said, "Hey, Jim, I found him, and he's wrestling." And I said, "He's doing what?" The beauty of this story is his wrestling coach graduated from Edinburgh and wrestled for our program, and he called me up. He says, "I got him for you." He says, "We're going to get him to you." But it was two different, in some ways, two different ways, because both were fast, defensively minded. One could really shoot well, and the other one couldn't shoot at all. And so what we had to do with Jose was make him into a team player. He really was an individual, one-on-one cutter. I should take my shot whenever I want. We had to teach him how to become more of a point guard and distribute. Really with Trey, we had to teach him the whole game. And he did an incredible job with that. And a lot of this, and this is, I have a former coach who said, "Oh, I made Trey," or other I'm like, no one made Trey but Trey. Trayvon would come to me and watch video. Trayvon would grab stuff and say, "Okay, I'm going to do extra workouts." And that was true about Jose too. Those two worked hard as anybody I've ever seen in my life.
Amazing. I want to give you your flowers on another topic. Is I feel like that you took some risks in your selection process in 2012, and I think that those risks ultimately paid off for not only you as a coach, but also for the U.S. program. In look at the output. What gives you that confidence to make the risks that you make as a coach? And is it the experience that comes beforehand, or is it the faith in the players?
A little both. I think that, when we had tried something in 2011 that I don't know was ever done. We ran 4 basketball festivals across the country. We looked at almost 90 basketball players, and out of those 90, probably 80 of them were incredible basketball players. So we were making some tough decisions. Part of what we were looking at is who can play with each other, who is going to make the team better, and do we have everything covered? So on the defensive end, we knew we were going to have you. We knew we were going to have Pauly, 2 incredible defensive players. Steve Serio's a very good defensive player as well. But we needed that low pointer to make that happen as well. The thing that Trey, I think, gave us was that length at a 2.5, and my belief in what he did in his work ethic, and he will learn and do whatever you tell him to do. If anybody's watched the last couple of Paralympics, he scores a few points. But
one of the best players in the world.
But in 12, his job was to dive.
Right.
You play defense, you help the class one, and you dive.
That's
and and he understood that. And so I had an opportunity to speak with some of the former Paralympic coaches, plus some of the international coaches. And one of the things that Frank Burns had told me was make sure that when you put guys on the team, not only can they get along, but they understand their role. And if they're at the end of the bench that game, that they're not going to be a problem. I knew all that about just about every guy on that team. We didn't have one issue with the guys on that team, and there was a lot of players. I'll tell you who else I don't think it was much of a chance, but as much as I think it was an unknown commodity, was Nate Hines. Nate Hines was so huge for us through the Paralympics, through the Parapans. His presence when he was on the floor, and his sheer determination to just make everybody better around him, even though him and Trey were the rookies.
That's right.
And they, now they took a little bit of joking around. You guys made sure, but they took it well. They took it well, and they're both class acts. It was just so much fun to watch those guys grow and see them continue to play, and I'm hoping to see them in LA. I don't know about Nate, but I know Trayvon's on the world roster, so
100%. As I look around the room, I see some of your Edinboro athletes coming in to support you. Having led that program for so long and seeing where it's going now, what do you hope for the two programs that you led, both the Team USA program and the Edinboro program? What do you hope comes from your legacy, and what do you hope to be remembered about your time there?
Well, as far as where they're going and where I hope to see them go, growth is always going to be one of my number one things. I want to see Edinboro continue to grow. I want to see Will Speed turn into a coach that someday has the same opportunities as I had. And in order to do that, he has to continue to be able to recruit and to teach. And Will and I have had a lot of conversations. Having a former student athlete take over the reins, that was awesome. When I spoke with the athletic director prior to my retirement, I said, here's the handful I want. They select one out of that handful, and Will was in that list. And she asked me about each of them. So I want to see that. The same is true with USA. The crew that I talked about from 01 to 09, you're all getting old.
I just celebrated a birthday yesterday.
Yeah, right?
You don't got to tell me. My shoulders are feeling it right now.
And so the same holds true. I want to see Scotty have that opportunity. I want to see Opie have that opportunity on the women's side to continue to grow the programs.
That's right.
And to, in order for them, it's a little different though. At Edinboro, it's about the junior programs. What can we do to develop the junior programs? We have to run camps. We have to do a good job when we run the camps. With USA, it's all about how do we teach them at the college level and what we're doing with our developmental programs to get them ready for the senior level, to make sure they're ready and that the coaches have that support. And so I think those are the things that I remember coming through the ranks and probably would want to be remembered for with both those programs, as I was a part of that development with the USA squad, but with Edinboro was always development.
Well, I just want you to know that I appreciate you. The NWBA appreciates you, and you are a 2026 inductee, and you're getting ready to put that blue jacket on, my friend.
I'm
Congratulations.
a little nervous. Thanks.
Congratulations, man. So, for everybody that's watching, we are here in Monroe, and thanks to our sponsors, Performax, New Motion, and the Basketball Hall of Fame. So I'm going to back up really quickly. I am getting ready to speak with the one and only Kathy Miller. You want to come join us? So, again, we are talking to the best of the best. This is the 2026 inductee class for the NWBA Hall of Fame. We just spoke to Jim Glatch and the chairman, David Kiley. I have the pleasure of introducing you to Kathy Miller. Welcome. That jacket looks amazing. Tell me how you feel tonight.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, thank you. Same to you.
Of
You
course.
are a legend.
Well,
Actual
thank you.
legend. Yes, you are.
Well, we're here to talk about your legendary status right now. You're getting your flowers.
Yes, it's a basketball.
And it is. I saw
Yes.
that. I saw that. Tell me about that. Who gave that to you?
Cheryl Vines.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we're gonna go into your legacy, because as a Team USA athlete myself, you winning the first international gold medal for Team USA and leading the charge as a pioneer, what does it mean to you now to see where the women's team has gone?
It has grown so much. It is what the goal was to begin with when we started out playing, was to keep the momentum going and build the amount of teams around the United States and be competitive like we were in Nova Scotia.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. When you think back at those Nova Scotia days and like winning that first shiny accolade, what memories come back to you about that run?
It was a long, long time ago, but proud.
Okay.
Just when that medal is hung around your neck, the pride that you feel representing the United States. Was awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with it being Women's History Month this month, I find it very I find it to be an honor to be able to tell you about these, or at least give you boost up your accolades, because not knowing much about the program when it first got started, I definitely got to know more about your career and my research, and I'm so just humbled to be a part of this and talk to you about being a pioneer. Has being a pioneer always been something that's driven you, or just tell me more about your role as a pioneer in wheelchair basketball.
I didn't consider myself a pioneer. I really didn't think about it until the call to the hall.
Okay.
And when that word was said, I really, playing back in those days, I did not feel, that term applied. But yes, it absolutely does. It describes it perfectly.
When you got that call from the hall, how did Dave get you? Because I know he's been using a little bit of mischievous
He lied.
methods.
Yes,
tell me
he
how
lied.
me how that call came to you, and did you expect this?
No,
Okay.
it was supposed to be a call about being a pioneer, doing a podcast
Okay.
about being a pioneer. So he and two of my teammates were in on this little shenanigans, and yeah. So him being sneaky again. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
And there's so many young women that have looked up to your path, have succeeded after you, and you have really laid the foundation for what a Team USA wheelchair basketball player is for the women's team. What do you have to say to the next generation that wants to follow in those Hall of Fame footprints, that wants to wear the nice gold jacket and the basketball around the thing? What do you have to say about the next generation?
Keep it going. Play hard. Keep the movement going.
Well, we are very, very proud of you. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your day.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to take off that nice jacket for something a little more blue, something a little more NWBA official. But I'm super proud of you, and I hope that you have an amazing night.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, of course. Congratulations. And again, we are here in West Monroe at the NWBA Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the 2026 class. We have spoken to the chairman, David Kiley. We have spoken to Jim Glatch. We have just spoken to Kathy Miller. And now I want to introduce you to Buddy Barnes. Yeah! And the crowd goes wild, my friend.
Yes, sir.
It's such a pleasure to be able to give you your flowers. And before we go any further, your commitment to the game, your dedication to raising the bar of the sport. You and I rode here on the way here,
Yes.
and we talked about the different level of dedication that you had, and the tape, and all of the everything that went into where you are right now. And I
Right.
just want to give you your flowers and let you know that because of you, this game is where it's at, and it's continuing to grow. And I personally appreciate you. The NWBA appreciates you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Matt.
Of
Really,
course.
truly an honor to be here and be a part of this wonderful organization for all these years.
And you look great.
Thanks, man. I got to keep up with you, baby.
So I was talking to Dave earlier. I was talking about how the prestige continues to rise at this event. So the NWBA Hall of Fame event is starting to become a little bit more prestigious. Tell me why it's important now that you're a part of this class.
Just the history of the game, seeing where it came from when I was young, watching my dad play to where it is now, watching you as a kid play to where you are going overseas to play professionally, the Olympic accolades. It's just amazing how this game has progressed over the years, not only player-wise, but its growth, the growth of the organization, the technology, what lets our athletes be better. and just to see us back on that dominance at a world stage. We've come a long way to 3 straight golds in the Olympics for the men, the gold, the bronze, the silver for the women, where our junior program is, what's coming, being able to recognize those future USA athletes, but then from a grassroots, growing the game from that grassroots level is really cool to see how far it's come from when I was a kid watching, Dad play.
You clearly have given this game a little bit more than just doing the job. You study tape. You were a part of camps and friendlies and doing this on an international stage, and you definitely put a different level of commitment into this game. And I'm curious, what motivated you to raise the bar and continue to make sure that this game was growing and going in the right direction?
Good question. Fair question. Just to raise the bar and make the game better for who was coming after me. I want to leave it in a better position than when I came into it. Not only as a kid, but when I started playing in the 80s to refereeing in the 90s and through now, 33 years worth, 16 years now as commissioner. Want to leave it in a better position, just to make it better for our athletes.
And I can say with all certainty that you definitely did that. I'm super grateful for the way that you left this game. And what do you, as you mentor other future referees and people who are or just now getting into the sport, what advice do you have to people who are just now getting into adaptive sports and just kind of finding their way?
Well, you've come in at a great time. Like I said, with the technology the way it is, the people that are in place now, there are so many avenues, and it's not just basketball. I mean, there's lacrosse, football, softball, rugby, track and field, swimming. There's everything out there that wasn't available years ago, and I would encourage them that no matter what's happened to you and why you're in the position of having to choose adaptive sports, that there is an avenue out there. You still can compete and compete at a high level.
Mm-hmm. You talk about competing at that high level. You actually did compete in wheelchair basketball. You played the game.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel like that contributed to your success as an official? And if so, how?
Most definitely. Knowing the ins and outs of the game, a lot of able-bodied officials that referee able-bodied ball don't have that unique perspective. If you've not played it, you don't know the ins and outs of it. When I do referee clinics, I put players in the chair. I get the local team to have like three of their players on each team. But I put 2 program chairs for the referees to let them play for 5 minutes, because it's all they can play is 5, because they'll be wore out pushing up and down the floor. But to give them that experience, to show them what it is to be held, what it is to get foot plated, just barely a bump that throws you completely off.
That's right.
And with our classification system the way it is, that's huge. A small bump to a class 1 or 2 compared to a 4 or 5 it's big. It's huge.
That's that experiential perspective that you had gave you the drive to be an even better official. Right. And I think that's something to take away from this interview as well. About your, you mentioned your father's history in the game. Right. Did that contribute to your motivation to be, a better referee?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Yep. Just seeing what he went through during his time playing and wanting, like I said, to leave the game better than when I found it. It made me want to study film, to study officials. Positioning on the floor is huge. It's different than it is in able-bodied ball. You have to be inside where it's happening, where the congestion is with the chairs. If you've got 8 chairs in the lane, why are we standing way out? You got to be able to see what's going on in there, and it's always trying to get better, always striving to do that, and help bring the game with our referees to a different level, so it's better for our members as players.
That's that's a great place to leave it. I'm so grateful that you have left this game the way that you are, better than you found it. You've been such a good mentor to other officials. You've been a great leader for everybody in the organization, and I'm super proud of you. I hope you're super proud of tonight, and
Yes, sir.
congratulations, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
I can't wait to see you in that jacket.
Yeah, I can't wait either. Thanks, man.
Of course, of course. And if you are just joining us, we are here in West Monroe at the 2026, Monroe, sorry. I have been mispronouncing this place the whole time. We have been joined by David Kiley, our chairman, Kathy Miller, Jim Glatch, and now I get a chance to introduce you to the one and only Eric Barber. E. Barber, what's up, man?
What's going on?
That
man?
jacket looks great. You know it's getting replaced tonight, though, right?
It will get replaced. Which I'm all good with that. Absolutely.
I'm a little bit salty. I like to try to get up here and look the best, and you're kind of outshining me a little bit.
Having seen the red carpet many times, I knew I had to step my
Okay.
game up just to compete, just to be in the same category.
Oh, you're doing the thing.
so,
You're doing the damn
yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
E. Barber, before we go any further, please allow me to give you your flowers. You being here and being a part of this induction it means a lot to me personally. Obviously, the committee has made the right choice, but just seeing you get this accolade means a lot to me. You are someone who paved the way from a Whitewater perspective, from a Team USA perspective, from a business professional perspective, from an intellectual perspective. Like you've made intelligence cool. You made being a strong black man cool. You've done so much for me personally, and I just want to give you your flowers. I love that you're here. I've got so much love and respect for you. So I want to get into the questions.
Sure.
So you have completely transformed the classification of Class 1. We don't have the same expectations for a Class 1 because you played the game.
Sure.
Is that something that when you first started playing, is that something that you sought out to do, or it just kind of happened?
It's a great question. I always just wanted to try to be the best basketball player I could be, and very fortunate to grow up in Chicago South Side. Had some amazing friends, teammates that I grew up with playing junior ball with. George Alfaro was the blueprint for me. We go way back, and the things that he could do from a Class 1 perspective, all I tried to do was emulate him, add some things, and, try to take it to another level. Revolutionizing, I wasn't, my main goal, but as I watched international play, as I watched basketball in general, again, I just wanted to try to be the best I could be. And, I noticed that sometimes most Class 1s are just trying to be out there just to, have other big men be in the game. And I said, you know what, I can do more. And for me, when I was at Whitewater, I had a privilege to play with Joe Johnson, Troy Sachs, and Jeff Glassburner all at the same time. And they collapsed the lane so hard that, I figured for us to be successful, our team to be successful, we're going to need some points from the outside. And I developed a 6 to 8 foot shot, branched that out to 10-foot shot, branched that out to a 12-foot shot, and just try to keep adding to my game. And so it means a lot for you to say that I kind of revolutionized the game because, again, I was just trying to be the best that I could be.
It's funny how you talk about, you added a 6-foot shot and a 10-foot shot, and you talk about it as if it's this simple thing.
Sure.
But I know damn well that you showed up to Roseman every single day without missing a day for your entire career, for
Yeah.
my entire career. I'm
Yeah.
talking about for decades. So
Yeah.
when people are listening to him say that he put a 6-foot shot in and a 10-foot shot and expanded his game, tell me about what goes into expanding that game, because it's not just simple. I want to shoot for a 10-foot shot. Like, what
Yeah.
goes into that?
I was just having this conversation with one of my teammates. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of people to support you, to be able to do it, to have that foundation and, be behind you so you can do that. Again, I just wanted to be the best I could be. And I knew that if I'm going to get to that level, that it takes work. And that's with anything you do. Like, again, from a personal perspective, basketball, athletic perspective, to a professional perspective. If you want to get better at something, you got to put in that work. And, I knew from the time I was, 14, 15, 16 years old, I saw Dave Kiley. I saw, Jimbo Miller. I saw the Curtis Bells and the Mo Phillips out there. And I always wanted to be part of that. And, I used to get Sports and Spokes, the hard copy, delivered to my house. And seeing those magazines, I always wanted to be a part of that. And the only way I knew to be a part of that was to work at it. And so I love being in Roseman anyway because it's one of the best facilities in the world. And I still get there at least 2 or 3 times a night still, just to try to get in the gym and keep my game sharp. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, but I love it.
Man, that commitment is admirable. I just remember being a young Whitewater student, being like, all right, if he's gonna be in the gym every day, I got to get in the gym every day. Like,
Yeah.
I just knew that was the blueprint. You set a perfect example for so many people that have come after you. I'm curious what you think of the growth of the position, of the Class 1 position,
Sure.
like now, and what do you see for its future?
I see nothing but the best. Particularly, let me talk about the U.S. team. There's been a Class 1 on the U.S. team from Whitewater since 1997. And, I'm not saying that I had something directly to do with that,
I am.
but, John Boy, Talon Jordan,
Ian Lynch.
Matt Lesbrance, Penny, Jermel Penny. I mean, all classic Class 1s that come out, and all of them are different. All of them do a little bit their own thing, but all of them are so instrumental in providing the U.S. team with some great Class 1 play. And again, you can't really play this game, I think, without a Class 1. And so, for me, it's just been that continue to try to pass down and be an example, a role model for those that come next. And again, it's been my pleasure to do so because I want to see this game continue to grow. I want to see the U.S. do the best it can be. And so that's, how I kind of look at my role going forward. So
Scott Zesson was another great one. He
Scott
didn't make
Zesson,
that national
he
team,
didn't
but
make the national
he
team,
would have.
But he was one of my favorites and still
Yeah.
one of my favorites today.
That's right.
Absolutely.
South side of Chicago,
Yes.
all the way to the world stage, and being one of the top 5 players at an all-worlds team.
Yeah.
Making an all-worlds team is not an easy feat.
It's not.
I'm on that club too.
Yeah,
so
I know. My brother.
It's not an easy feat.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what it meant to represent not only Team USA, but have reached that pinnacle, to be as like one of the top players in the world, not just in the country.
Yeah, and that team was in 2002, and it was a really good team.
Gold medal, if I'm not mistaken.
It was the last gold medal until you guys won in 22, and I was so happy about that. But in 02, nobody gave us a chance. They said we were too small. They said we didn't have what it takes. And so to be a part of that team, just to be on that team was great. But then to be a part of a team that overcomes all the doubters, and that's what it was. We lost our first game, and we were down 20 in that game. And we lost that game, but we band together, came back, and didn't lose another one. And then not only that first game we lost to was to GB, and then we came back and beat them in the gold medal game. And so at the time, all I was thinking is I need to just play my role. And if I need to pass, I'm passing. If I need to shoot, I'm shooting. If I need to pick, I'm picking. And I ended up having to do all three of those things to let Paulie, one of the greatest performances ever. The semifinal game and the final game, I've never seen somebody shoot like that. And, to be recognized as one of the top 5 in the world at that tournament was a little bit of a shock to me because, again, I'm just out there trying to do what I can to help free up our players and make us successful, and to have other people recognize my work was, by far one of the best moments of my life. And that's the same thing with this Hall of Fame, induction. It's been like my birthday since I was inducted. People reaching out, saying congratulations, and that has meant the most to me, even more than knowing that I'm going to go down in history and get a jacket, a ring, but having those people reach out to me. I mean, Tim Kazee, one of my longtime, on my first international team in 1998, Tim Kazee reached out to me, Mike Schlappy. I mean, so it's just been one of those things where people that reach out to you that you haven't heard from in a long time, it's just been an amazing moment for me all the way around.
And well deserved. I mean, that's a perfect place to put it. You've done so much for the game. You've done so much for people that have come after you. Obviously there's a blueprint that you followed before you, and you just continue to create. I'm super proud to be interviewing you right now. You've done so much for my personal career, and it's so amazing to see you get your flowers today.
I so much appreciate it, Matt. Just like last year when you went into the Hall of Fame, nobody was as proud as I was because, again, I remember when you came into the field house trying out for a U23 team, and you were sitting in this little bitty chair, and you took it to great, great heights, man. I mean, I've watched you develop. It's been a pleasure. The things that you do now with your mascot fly is absolutely amazing, and I couldn't be prouder of you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, welcome to the Brotherhood. I
Absolutely.
always knew you would be there,
Yeah.
and super proud of you, man.
I appreciate it.
Enjoy tonight.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yes, please. And for everybody that is watching, we have to say thank you to Performax, Baron Rings, Reveal Jackets, and hello, Michael Looney.
How are you?
Well, let me set this down really quick. Oh, no, we're all good. Oh, yeah, I'll give it to you. So we are here at the induction ceremony. We just spoke to Eric Barber. We just spoke to Jim Glatch. We just spoke to Buddy Barnes and Kathy Miller. Now I would like to introduce you to Michael Looney. Talk to me about this particular class and what draws you to being here today.
So, I have the privilege of introducing Jim Glatch, Coach Glatch. So I've known him since 2003, 2004, when he recruited me to come to Edinburgh. And so for me, it's a tremendous honor, but also for the other inductees that are here, Buddy and Eric. I've played against Eric before, and then Buddy just being a referee. So, those three. And Karen, you just read her story and everything she's accomplished has been great. But had the privilege now, of introducing someone who's been a mentor to me, has been, like a family to me. Even his family's been great with me. So it's just an honor to be here and to be able to do this.
Having played under Jim Glatch at the University of Edinburgh program and seeing him reach this height, reach this accolade, having been one of his players during that time, tell me how that makes you feel that he's reached this height.
So it's great to see, and you kind of take a little bit and say, hey, I helped him get here. When I came in to the program, we were kind of more on the upswing. We had a lot of new players that were coming in, going from not beating some of the top teams in the organization to beating the University of Illinois, Texas, Whitewater, and finishing third in the nation in 2004, 2005, and then being runner-up for the 2007 national championship. I mean, it's great to know that those are part of his accolades, and to why he's here. And then just even after that, we've always been around the program. A lot of his players continue to come back year after year and be able to help out and work with him and help him with recruiting. So we've definitely taken a part in this, and even just cheering on the sidelines when he was with Team USA, and even cheering on our own players and guys that have gone through the program that are playing for Team USA has been great. And it's just, to us, I mean, him getting in here is great for Edinboro. It's great for the program, for them to be able to use that, tout that, and I mean, Jim Glatch is Edinboro University. It's what it is.
I had the honor of playing under Glatch with the three letters across my chest.
Yep.
What was it like playing for Jim Glatch as a college coach in a college program? Because I know that's a different kind of vibe.
So I got to Edinboro literally 3 years post-injury. And so I knew I wanted to go play in college, and going to play at Edinboro. It's funny, I went to a state school in Pennsylvania that is literally a rival of Edinboro. I'd heard of Edinboro, but I never knew about the wheelchair basketball program. And then I got injured in college, graduated from Shippensburg University, and then went on to Edinboro. And yes, I still have a place in my heart for Shippensburg because that's where I went for undergrad, but for grad school and then just playing for Edinboro with Coach Glatch. I mean, it's where I am today. It's the reason why I've been successful, not only in wheelchair basketball, but outside, in my own professional career and my personal career. So it's great. I mean, I have stories upon stories. I mean, there's days that, he wasn't happy with anything that we did and would yell at us or, make us do other things, pushing. And then there are days where, it was great and we were successful, we were winning, and he was happy with us. And so, you have the best of both worlds. But it's by far the greatest time of my life. I mean, I spent 3 years there. And in any realm of any of the sports I've played, it's the best 3 years of sports I've ever had.
What characteristics of Jim Glatch, the man, do the teams that he coached wear alongside them? So what characteristics of Jim Glatch does your team play with?
So I think a lot of it is intensity. He's very intense, and we always try to be very intense in what we're doing. We're also very good at communicating. I know Glatch is, a great communicator, and he instills that in us. I also think integrity. With a lot of his players, a lot of us, we have that integrity, and it's something that we've carried with us outside of the sport as well. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me, give me a Jim Glatch memory that you'll never forget.
So I said it earlier. It was a great. We were playing Texas. We were in Whitewater, and Glatch was on the refs the entire time, constantly berating him, just literally asking this one ref to make the right call. And finally, he just got really upset and yelled at him, and the ref gave him a technical. And he just turned to the ref and was like, "That's the right call." And it was just. We were all out on the court just watching him get this technical and then screaming back at the ref. And it was he had to laugh. I mean, you're not supposed to laugh because your coach just got a technical and he's mad, but you just had to laugh.
Right.
I mean, but that's the way it was. There were things that happened on the court that you would have to sit there and you kind of have to laugh about it.
That's
and
right.
now we can really laugh about it as we talk about it. So yeah, it's great.
What did you learn during your Edinboro times under Jim Glatch that you still take with you to this day? Not just as an athlete, but just as a human.
I think a lot of it is just the belief in myself. I got to Edinboro still being new to wheelchair basketball, coming in not sure what I was going to be able to do, how much I was going to play. I mean, there are games where I would score 20, 25 points. And a lot of it is because he believed in me to know that I'm going to go out there and I'm going to score and I'm going to try and help the team win. So I've definitely taken that with me, just having a belief in myself that, hey, look, times are going to get tough. We're going to play tough competition. But if you keep sticking to it, keep doing what you're supposed to do, what you know how to do, you're going to be successful.
That's a perfect place to leave it.
Yeah.
I'm super proud to have been coached by him. This is a great night for him. I know you're proud of him.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear what you have to say up there on that stage. Yeah, congratulations on
Thank you.
being able to bring him into this accolade, and
Thank you.
thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us, man.
I appreciate all that you
Appreciate
do, man.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
brother.
Yep.
Thank you. And I think we are going to talk to Mike Woodard. Yep, the chair's coming over. That means Mike Woodard's coming over. You're too tall for me, man. What's going on? How are you? Welcome, welcome.
We have a lot of things to talk about.
We do. We absolutely have a lot
I
of
was
things
just
to talk
saying
about.
that I'm probably one of the few people with my 40 years of history that could tell lots of Matt Scott stories, and I would say they're very good. I just told her, I said, he was one of the greatest college players that I ever had to officiate against, and one of the toughest ones to call, and that's to you.
I appreciate
Okay?
that.
Yeah.
And coming from you, someone who consistently raised the bar for the game and consistently trying to not only do your job well, but help others do it well alongside you. I vividly remember you being a part of, officiating crews, and you not just doing your job, you helping everyone do their job better. Officials like you make this game proud and continuously just continue to raise the level, and thank you so much for that. I want to give you your flowers.
I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, if our sport's going to get better, we've got to raise the bar. We can't be satisfied with status quo. And as you know, in our sport, we have always fought the image of it's Special Olympics or it's rec ball. So literally I just had a conversation with someone this weekend, and they go, why are you so strict with officials? Why are you so strict with players? And I said, it's all about professionalism. If we want ESPN and the outside world to accept us as a viable sport, we have to continue to raise our level of professionalism in our play, in the way we administrate, in the way we officiate, bar none. That's what it's about.
I completely agree with you. Tell me about this class. You've seen a lot of NWBA Hall of Fame classes. Having one of your brothers in stripes join this class. Tell me what that means to you.
Well, besides being an official, he's been a friend first. I knew Buddy when Buddy played, and I know you talked about that. I knew him when he played. What most people don't know about me, and probably you don't, but I didn't start officiating.
Okay.
I started in 1987 at the University of Kentucky, and Stan Labana, which was the commissioner, and Stan asked me to coach, and I was like, I've been a high school coach. I don't know anything about wheelchair. And he was like, oh, please, Mike, I need a coach. And I said, I really, really can't. I don't know it. And he goes, I'll pay for graduate school. And I go, call me Coach Woodard. So I started there, and that's where Frank Burns started. Ron Likens was behind me, and I followed Ron. So Ron and Frank both taught me the game. So I coached before I ever officiated.
Wow.
And I knew Buddy because Buddy was playing at the time. So that's how our friendship had started. And then there it evolved from that to officiating, to his administration. Doing what I do with officials, I have to work with division commissioners all the time. So we have a close relationship that way too. So
Love that.
And Jim, I have probably as many stories about Jim we won't tell about.
Right.
They're all good stories. Okay, they're all good stories. But I can't think of a class that's more deserving. Him playing and me officiating and seeing him grow from the junior ranks up like I did. That's the cool thing about this. I've been around so long that I've seen him grow, and it's really very deserving, all of them.
That's amazing. So you've seen this transformation from player to Hall of Fame official. So I think it's safe to say that he's a better official than a player.
Well, so if you get the opportunity, I have a funny story, but I'm not gonna spill the beans here.
Okay.
I'll save it for the induction speech. But He was a very good player. I'm going to give him some street cred. He was an outstanding shot. He was. So, but I have a great story about him when he was a player.
He came here earlier and he was talking about how his experiential perspective as a player helped him be a better official. What's your perspective on that? Do you think that officials need to have a little bit more exposure to the game than just learning it from a visual perspective? Do you think that they actually need to go out and play and understand the mechanics?
Well, you being a player, you're going to agree with exactly what I say, 1,000%. When I started University of Kentucky coaching, I go, how can I tell a player how to move a chair if I don't know how to move a chair, if I don't know, how it performs? So the very first day I got in the chair and they showed me how not to play.
Okay.
But I had to learn, Buddy had to learn. I think all successful officials need to know the nuances of how a chair works. And to be honest with you, today I think it's easier to explain how a chair works with, you're sitting in a box, your shoulder pivots, your hip, flexions and those type of things that you can move through traffic without your hands. So it's easier today than what it was back in the day. But yeah, and you agree.
I totally agree.
They all need to get in chair.
I totally agree.
Yep.
And there's not always an official that's going to make the Hall of Fame class. With this being one of those classes that includes an official, what does that mean for your generation of officials? That what does that say about your generation of officials?
Well, I know I can speak for Buddy because I know his philosophy and my philosophy about the sport. We officiate because we love it, but I was taught at the beginning from Stan that we are servants. We're servants to the sport. We need to give back to the sport. And my officials today, when I train them, when I talk to them, I tell them it's, do it at the best level you can, but you have to give back, And I think that sense of servant to the sport goes a long way, and it just makes us better as a group. It really does. You're the same way. You're a servant of the sport too.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't be here today if you weren't.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. We all love it. We all have been dedicated to it, and there's no way you would have that blue jacket on if you didn't show commitment and show that dedication. So, I think that's a really good place to leave it. I'm excited for this class to be inducted. This class is really close to me. Having Jim Glatch being the head coach that led me to a first Paralympic medal, with E. Barber being a teammate and mentor. Also, with Kathy Miller being one of the first to ever
Pioneer.
go, being
One
a
of the
pioneer,
pioneers. Correct.
just amazing. And then of course, Buddy just being such a legend in his own right. So, thank you so much for joining me. I think this is going to be an incredible ceremony. Everybody has a big treat in front of them. So,
Well, thank you for having me.
of course, thank you, my friend.
Appreciate
You got to
it.
keep those stories to yourself, though.
I will.
No joking. Got you. And is Chuck Gill coming to join us? We've got Chuck Gill coming to join us. One of my teammates, Bay Area's own, Golden State Warriors own. What's up, G? My man. I didn't know this was gonna be the first time I get a chance to see you. It's gonna be on camera.
I know. I was looking for you.
What's up, brother?
Ain't nothing to, man.
Man.
Ain't nothing to.
I think I'm gonna jump right into it.
Yeah.
50 years of Golden State Warriors. This is the 50th year anniversary.
This is.
Tell me what this year meant to the program and what that personally means to you.
Wow. It's big. It's especially for mainly Coach Jackson.
because this is going into his 50th season.
Wow.
So to be a part of that for him, to be here, almost half that, it's been great. You know, kind of the success on the court this year has been a little disappointing, on wins and losses. But to just to be a part of this history, we don't know exactly who kind of has the longest history in the NWBA as far as organization, team-wise, but I know we're up there.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
A storied history. I'm grateful to have been a small part of that,
Yeah.
and we've also, we've been teammates.
Yes.
We've also represented Team USA, which is another brotherhood.
Exactly.
And talk to me about this induction class. Between Kathy Miller, E. Barber, Jim Glatch, and Buddy Barnes. Talk to me about what this is, what today means for them, and as a veteran.
It's you're kind of on cloud nine. I know when I got the call, it was just I was out coaching my kids for baseball, and that practice was done for me. I couldn't do any more.
Yeah.
So I'm quite sure for them to get that call, for some that maybe didn't even expect that to happen. I'm so excited for all of them, and I've known Buddy for a long time. Jim, had the fortune to coach under Jim and on Team USA and play alongside Eric and against Eric. So it's great, and I'm so excited for them and to be able to be here and watch them, go into the Hall.
What does it take to be a Hall of Famer? From a Hall of Famer, is it just wins and losses? Is it just the points scored? Is it just the accolades? Like, tell me what it takes to be a Hall of Famer.
The dedication, definitely, but you don't get here alone at all. It's when you're up there and you're accepting, and it may seem like it's you. And I know when we get up there and they want you to give you like 10 minutes, you just can't, because there's just so much involved and so many other people who've helped you, get here along the way. For me, that was never a goal of mine. It was, I just wanted to compete, wanted to get the most out of me, my teammates, and be a part of representing the country and trying to win championships for Golden State. And this was just the icing for me. So, I definitely believe the consistency and that hard dedication and just the belief.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think it's something that you wear beyond that induction. So you have the ceremony, you go up there, you say your speech, but it's something you get a chance to wear for a lifetime, and it's something that it's a brotherhood that we all belong to. I'm so grateful to be able to welcome this class into what can you tell me? What can you tell future Hall of Famers or people that are gunning for that type of accolade? Someone who wants to be recognized amongst the best of the best.
For me, it was the guys before me. Never disrespected, always just appreciated, and just been a student of the game and a student of players. Even, to this day. I mean, there's guys who haven't played as long as I have, but I appreciate and watch how they work and, the way the game is now, and try to take some of that game, into my game. But I really do believe that, be a student of the game, be very coachable, and you got opportunities. You definitely got opportunities.
That's right. You heard it. You future Hall of Famers. You heard it from G himself. I want to just give you your flowers as someone who I've played with, as someone that I've watched, studied, admired. Continue to do what you do. It's great to see that you're still out here. You're still balling.
Appreciate it.
And just a tremendous example for anybody to follow. So
I appreciate it, man. And you know how I feel about you, and appreciated our last run, and that, we did the championship
we got
together.
one. We got one.
So
Hey, appreciate you, man.
Thank
All
you, man.
love, all
Thanks, Sam.
respect.
You too, man.
Thank you for
You
being
too.
here.
You bet, buddy.
Of course. At the induction ceremony of the 2026 NWBA Hall of Fame, we're getting ready to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Reveal Jackets, Baron Rings, Performax, New Motion, and of course our hosts here in West Monroe. Thank you. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our program will begin in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, our program begins in 1 minute. Please welcome to the stage Brandon McBain, CEO of the NWBA.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to tonight's 2026 induction ceremony for the National Wheelchair Basketball Association Hall of Fame. I'm privileged to be up here and have the opportunity to welcome this year's class. From Kathy Miller to Buddy Barnes to Coach Jim Glatch to Eric Barber, we truly have legends among us. Tonight's recognition is the only fitting way to truly encapsulate all of the impact, the triumph, and the accomplishments of these amazing legends of our organization. I hope and I look forward to them sharing some stories and some friends sharing some stories with us that include some of these accomplishments of theirs, but also hopefully a little humor, hopefully a little adversity, and much more. But I would be remiss to say thank you to the NWBA Hall of Fame Committee for putting this amazing event on and hosting this great opportunity. They continue to preserve and help celebrate the rich history of our organization and our amazing sport. So without further ado, it's my opportunity to introduce the individual leading these efforts, a living legend, a 6-time NWBA MVP, a 9-time as an athlete national title holder, a 13-time Paralympic medalist, 5 of which in wheelchair basketball, a United States Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame class of 2022, and an NWBA class of 2000 Hall of Fame, the King, Dave Kiley.
Right on, brother. Right on. Thank you. Yeah, man. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it very much. We appreciate you as the leader of the NWBA. We look forward to your greatness that's going to continue to emerge for the sport that we love. You know, just a little housekeeping, you know, there's a little couple bathrooms right out there, restrooms. Right through that curtain, there's a larger one if you go right, just in case you have the urge. But anyways, I want to welcome everybody for being here tonight, and thank you for that. And the inductees tonight are the greatest of the great, you know, and I'm here to tell you on behalf of the Hall of Fame committee that only the great will get into this hall. Only the greatest. Class of 2026, Kathy Miller, Buddy Barnes, Jim Glatch, and Eric Barber are the examples that I'm speaking about. And that will hold true over time with this committee and my leadership. Matt Scott, I want to thank Matt for the red carpet interviews. He continues to support the Hall of Fame prior to becoming a 2025 member. I thought about having him interview himself when he got inducted last year, but I didn't think that would fly. Oh, fly. Whoa, whoa. All right. Anytime I'm on this stage on behalf of the Hall of Fame, I'm going to tell you about Frank Burns, Frank T. Burns. You know, one of the closest friends I ever had, and he is my reason, he is my inspiration. Frank gave me the opportunity to serve on the committee, nudging me to take over. And I'm like, dude, no, whoa, stop. I don't want to work that hard, you know. And I was there just to vote, you know. And one thing I found out being the chairman of this committee is that we need more than people to just vote. You know, we need people to roll up their sleeves, serve subcommittees, make our processes, policies transparent, and again, protect the integrity of the hall. But Frank, you gave me that opportunity while you were living, and in your passing, you gave me the keys that you always wanted to the chairman of the Hall of Fame. And brother, we raise funds to the Frank T. Burns Heritage Fund in your name. All of our funds that are raised come into that fund for the Hall of Fame. And we've gotten to the point where we make a little money after we spend a whole lot to get our inductees the recognition that they truly deserve. So, Frank, I'm going to ask you a big favor. You know, we've had five Hall of Famers pass on in this past year. And so, Frank, I know you've already welcomed them and put your arms around them with some of the other Hall of Famers and other friends of our sport that have gone to the celestial hard courts. So, yeah, we have a moment to share and with those five: Julius Jacopo, class of 1976, could be called one of the early pioneers of the game as well as a warrior. He played fiercely and he fought the battle to get our sport off the ground when it truly needed it. Roger Davis Sr., class of 1986, one of the nicest guys, quietest guys you'll ever meet, but one of the most ruthless shooters of all time that had no range limit. Roger had to be guarded the second he came into the gym because he had no limit before the three-point line. And many sportsmanship awards, but just a bona fide Hall of Fame member. Then there's Kurt Beamer, class of 1991. How many photographers make it to the Hall of Fame? Well, this one did because of his epic and historic capturing photos of our sport. Most of our history that you see in black and white and merging into color are just historic, and Kurt Beamer took all those photos as a representative of Paralyzed Veterans of America and working for Sport and Spoke magazine. And Kurt Beamer would be found on a sideline of a Final Four, and he would not miss a shot, man. When Mike Woodard was teeing me up and my veins were coming out of my... he got the veins, you know. He was that good. And then there's Bruce Russell, Canadian NWBA member, class of 2019. Bruce's presence was felt in legislation. He came to annual meetings prepared to make our sport better by putting out legislation and having the members vote. And he was just a legend at that. And that's why one of the reasons, strongest reasons, he made the Hall of Fame. And then finally, Paul Bozy Bose, you know, class of 2025. Man, you speak of the timing of his Hall of Fame induction last year. You know, it meant so much to him. And it meant so much to us because we had to shift some things around to make it work because we knew what was coming down the pike. And I'm really glad that we were able to make that work for Paul Bose and his family. So having said that, enjoy as much as you can. It's a solemn presentation of respect to those that we have lost. I thank you, but let's just take one longer moment of silence in recognition and respect. Here we go. Okay. The Hall of Fame committee, you know, my incredible teammates that I depend on for my very and every next move. I want to list them and indulge me with that because they deserve so much credit. Cheryl Vines, class of 2024. Hold your applause till the end, please. Doug Garner, class of 2019. Paul Jackson, 2007. Pam Fontaine, 2010. Mike Woodard, class of 2019. Susan Hagel, class of 1999. Trooper Johnson, 2016. Karen Casper Robeson, 2002. Joe Manny, 2010. And Darlene Hunter, 2024. I believe all of those images just came behind me, and now I'm looking at them up there. But those are bona fide Hall of Fame members that roll up their sleeves for you and this sport. The other thing that makes this whole ceremony work, and the only way it does, is through our donors and our sponsors and our partners and our relationships. And I'm going to list some of those. The Frank T. Burns family, Bubba and Cowboy Burns, brothers of Frank, and the rest of his family generously give annually. The Cecile Ebert Foundation, probably our largest contributor. The Bud Rumpel family, the class of 1983, Bud Rumpel, Warrior. The Kiley family, extended, my family, my wife and I, and my extended family, I appreciate you so much. And while I'm on the Kiley thread, my wife, I want to recognize you for just managing all my crazy, and nobody does it better. Jane Chaluti, class of 2023. Kathy Miller, class of 2026. I mean, her first, she was barely in, and she's given already. I mean, I love that. Ray Salazar, a high school buddy that I just found out today that he's only got moments left to live, and it took my breath away. He was looking to make donations in his end game. He chose the Hall of Fame. And Jimmy Johnson, his best friend, did it because Ray did it. Larry Labiak, class of 2019. Larry is a kind of behind-the-scenes Hall of Famer that'll do whatever you ask him to do, and he gives every year. The Smith family, the Mullins family, and Cheryl Vines, all honoring Roger Davis Sr.'s memory. I have to say this about the committee of the Hall of Fame is that we're a standing committee, we're a volunteer committee, but for the past 3 to 4 years, we have been 100% giving committee, and I believe that may be the only one in the NWBA, that we give to the sport we love so that this ceremony can take place in the manner that it's taken place. You see that audio-visual company and lighting company behind us, a family business, they're on steroids. And we have the best in what I think has been to date in audio-visual strength. So Wayne and crew, thank you very much. But the committee's only going to give if I give. You know, I can't ask anybody to give unless I give. And I give at some times where it's painful. But it doesn't need to be painful. And right now, There should be a QR code coming up on the screen. I hope you're moved to make whatever comfortable donation you can make to our cause. And, you know, all you have to do is take out your phone, you know the deal, and boom, it'll go straight to the Frank T. Burns Heritage Fund to support the Hall of Fame. So thank you for your consideration. Certainly the reason we are here tonight is to induct our class of 2026 movers and shakers and the players and contributors of our beautiful game. I've already mentioned them, and they're going to be mentioned again. And there's the image that you saw as you came in the front door. And, you know, I know these kinds of little things mean a lot to our inductees and to those that would someday hope to be in the Hall of Fame. It would be crazy not to celebrate the Hoff brand, you know, what we've been able to accomplish through our partnership with Dromos Agency. We have Kelly in the background right now from the Dromos Agency, and she's the real deal, you know. Ish Tanyeri, the owner and operator from all the controls. But over the last 90 days, just the last 90 days, where we only focused on the inductees and their accomplishments, we reached 20,000 accounts. We had 105,000 views. That is real impact, serious impact, all amplifying the work of the Hall of Fame committee and the wheelchair basketball community as a whole. So please follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. You know, we're finding out that people now are really looking at the Hall of Fame as a pretty cool deal, you know, and it wasn't always like that. You know, I had a young man come up to me in the foyer and say, "Hey, I'm following you on Instagram," and shook my hand. I'm like, "Wow, man, this is something else." So the presenting sponsor of this tournament and has a tournament. I'm still playing the game, man. Of this ceremony is Performax. And Performax has been by my side and by this event side since I've been involved. I appreciate the generous heart of their company. Performax, you're like my right arm, and the Hall of Fame committee's right arm coming to this ceremony. So Willie and Chris, appreciate your decision to be the lead sponsor. Danny and all the shop boys and men and women in the shop, we totally appreciate you for the vibe that you bring to our game, and also to the technology that the elite can count on, and to the everyday user. These blue jackets come from Reveal Suits and Jackets, our official jacket partner. Carlton Dixon is the owner and operator, and he outfits, you know, the Naismith Hall of Fame, the college division, and when we met and he chose to become our official jacket sponsor, and you know, I was able to choose the blue. Many say it's because of my Dodger affiliation, but that was not truthful. I just like the color. And whenever you see a blue jacket, you know that it's a Hall of Fame member. And we're grateful for Reveal Suits. Barron Championship rings, you know, rings and jackets. You know, everything is synced together. Kevin Klustra, one of the vice presidents, we're grateful for your decision to be our official ring sponsor. The New Motion Foundation, Justin Richardson, and executive director of the foundation, he has been a sponsor for the past 4 years. We're so grateful for that decision. New Motion does such amazing work through its employees and for people with disabilities, and focusing on mobility and independence and specialized care. The great thing about the New Motion Foundation is it's mostly totally supported by its employees. They don't go out and recruit funding. It comes from within, which kind of gives you a heartbeat of what that company's about. So we're grateful that New Motion has chosen to be on our same team. And then finally, probably our greatest relationship is the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. This door was opened by our former executive director and president, Hall of Famer Will Waller, class of 2023, with his relationship with John DeLeva, president and CEO of the Naismith Hall of Fame. And in 1 year, I was able to move through that door because of a phone call that was made by Carlton Dixon on our behalf to the head of the totem pole, John DeLeva, at the Naismith Hall of Fame. And from there, the rest has been total history. And so words need to say no more. Just sit back and watch.
Basketball, it is a glorious game, and it's played in a variety of different ways. So tonight, we recognize and celebrate the perseverance and commitment by some of the absolute best in wheelchair basketball.
Since the first NWBA Hall of Fame enshrinement in 1973, when our founder, Tim Nugent, was honored, over 170 legends have been inducted, growing wheelchair basketball from its rehab roots into a world-class game. Among them, David D.K. Kiley, 9-time Paralympic gold medalist, USOPC Hall of Famer, and since 2020, Hall of Fame chairman, building strategic partnerships that connect the wheelchair basketball world to the NBA and Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Tonight, we celebrate the class of 2025, Paul Bowe's 37 years of coaching, from the London Forest City Flyers, on 3 Paralympic gold medal coaching staffs, and is a worldwide influencer. Stevie Welch, the Rocket, a Dallas Mavs legend, 7-time national champion, 3-time MVP, and 3-time world champion with Team USA. Jeremy O.P. Lade, a 3-time Paralympian and London bronze medalist, a 2-time national champion, 6-time collegiate national champion coach, and now head coach of the U.S. women's national team, leading the next generation to greatness. And Matt Fly Scott, 5-time Paralympian, 2-time gold medalist, pioneer of European pro contracts, and the first wheelchair basketball player in a Nike commercial. Founder of the Fly Without Limits Foundation, leader of DK3 in Venice Beach and in Paris, a courtside voice for NBC during the Paralympics. More than a champion, an ambassador for the game and the adaptive sports community. Stevie Welch, Paul Bowes, Jeremy Lade, Matt Scott, the NWBA Hall of Fame class of 2025. Legends who leave the game better than they found it and inspire generations to come.
We are honored to have special guests from the National Wheelchair Basketball Association Hall of Fame class of 2025. Jeremy Lade is a 3-time Paralympian, London 2012 bronze medalist, and 6-time national championship winning coach. Matt Scott is a 5-time Paralympian and 2-time gold medalist who has redefined what it means to be a global ambassador for the game. Enshrinees from the class of 2025 unable to attend tonight are Stevie Rocket Welch, a two-time national champion at the University of Texas, Arlington, and a three-time gold medalist for Team USA at the World Championships, and Paul Bozy Bose, who dedicated 37 years to wheelchair basketball, coaching at all levels and shaping the sport's growth worldwide. We know that Stevie and Coach Bose are watching NBA TV right now, and accompanying Jeremy and Matt are the chairman of the NWBA Hall of Fame, David Kiley, and the president and CEO of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, John DeLeva. Congratulations once again to Matt Scott, Jeremy Lade, Stevie Welch, and Paul Bose.
Okay, so that ceremony, all of that, the content that you saw, the video put together by Dromos Agency and the help of many, that was shown to millions worldwide, live. And the best thing about NBA TV, if you watch it, they repeat their shows like for days and sometimes weeks and months. So we got play beyond our wildest imagination for that night. And the class of 2026, get ready because you're going. And we've been invited back on an annual basis. So we look forward to that coming up later in the summer. Yeah. I'm sure Naismith will be part of our rise to our greatest future. But anyways, we are here now to induct the class of 2026 in exactly 10 seconds. Yeah. Paul Jackson, class of 2007, and Doug Garner, class of 2019, to come to the stage as our official jacket and ring presenters. Karen Casper Robeson, welcome Doug, welcome Paul. Karen Casper Robeson, class of 2002, member of the Hall of Fame committee, is a presenter for Kathy Miller. Karen is currently chilling on a beach in Cancun. The date was set for the tournament after she had already made family plans, and she really tried to get back from Cancun early to be here in person for Kathy, but she did the next best thing that she could is with a video presentation.
Good evening. I'm very excited to be here tonight to be part of this wonderful celebration. I wish I could be there in person to congratulate this year's inductees, Eric, Buddy, Jim, and Kathy. Tonight, I'm here to introduce to you my friend, Kathy Miller. I first met Kathy in 1975 at the Courage Center, a rehab facility in Minnesota. But before I go any further, let me give you a little history. The Rolling Gophers, our local sports team that already had a men's wheelchair basketball team, was challenged by Bob Simon at the University of Illinois to develop a women's basketball team. After some consideration, Terry Hansen, who became our coach, accepted the challenge. So that fall, a team was developed with 10 women who really had no idea what we were doing. At that time, there were very few women's teams in the country, and we were all starting from scratch. We were learning the basics of the game and trying to manage the basketball all at the same time. We only had one player that could consistently make a basket. But that spring, we traveled to Detroit for the first ever National Women's Wheelchair Basketball Tournament. There were 4 teams, and Detroit won, but we all had a great time and we were hooked. In 1975, Kathy had only recently been injured. She had come to Courage Center to check out what activities might be available. She was there to see square dancing, and she happened to see us practicing in the gym. We're so glad that she did. Later that year, she joined the basketball team. From the start of it, Kathy was a strong player. She could handle the ball. She developed great wheelchair handling skills and quickly became a threat on both ends of the floor. During this time, the team got stronger and more competitive. We were playing the women's tournaments while we were also playing as part of the North Central Conference. Terry, our coach, said of Kathy that she's a very strong all-around player and would be an asset to any team. Kathy knew the game and had a good sense of fair play. She was positive and always a good sport. She and I quickly became good friends, and that made traveling and road trips that much more fun. For the next 10 years, her team played at the National Women's Wheelchair Basketball Tournament, finishing in the top 3 8 years and being national champions twice. In that same time, Kathy established herself as a dominant player, and she became a regular member of the National All-Tournament team with 8 appearances, including MVP in 1977 and co-MVP in 1979. Let me share with you some of the comments from the endorsement letters that were part of her nomination. Bob Simon, Hall of Fame class of 2004, said, Kathy was a pioneer and a sustaining member of the women's division of the NWBA. She was rostered as a member of the Twin Cities Rolling Gophers for the 2nd Annual National Wheelchair Basketball Tournament. She quickly established herself as a rising star. And former teammate Susan Hagel, Hall of Fame class of 1999, Kathy was a very important player during those early years of the NWBA women's division. I played many games against her, and while I was at the University of Illinois. She was one of the first people to welcome me to my new team when I relocated to the Twin Cities. I certainly enjoy playing with Kathy a whole lot more than I did playing against her. And Sharon Hedrick, a former opponent from the University of Illinois, and the first woman inducted into the Hall of Fame, class of 1994. Kathy was one of my earliest role models in the game of basketball, and during my first year of play, she mesmerized me whenever she was on the basketball court. It seemed to me that there was nothing beyond her reach. She seemed to be the best shooter on the team, especially from outside the key. Along with my own coach, she convinced me to develop a one-handed shot, still somewhat rare in the women's division at that time. Yet there she was, leading the way and using that shot. That shot also had the opportunity to be much more versatile and gave me great success as opposed to the two-handed shot. In closing, as women playing in the early years of the division, we had no idea the trail we were making, nor the lasting impact it would have. I'm grateful for players and teammates like Kathy, who challenged and helped us to be better players and a stronger division. Please join me in welcoming Kathy Miller and inducting her into the NWBA Hall of Fame, class of 2026. Thank you.
Kathy Miller, welcome to the NWBA Hall of Fame. Come to the stage. Receive your jacket. There you go. Let's hear that music one more time, just a little louder. And now your Barron Championship ring after you put on that nice reveal suit. One of these. There we go. Okay. Yep.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and hello to my family and friends watching from home. Thank you for your love, support, and enthusiasm for wheelchair basketball. If I left a trail of glitter, I'm really sorry. I'm dropping it everywhere. Thank you to Dave, Ish, and Kelly for your hard work in putting this incredible celebration together. You all need a vacation. Thank you to the Hall of Fame Committee, the volunteers, and everyone who had a hand in making this day possible. Thank you, Karen Casper Robeson, for your heartfelt introduction, and thank you for nominating me for this distinguished award. I am very grateful. Some of you may be looking at each other around the table and saying, who the heck is Kathy Miller? You're probably not alone. It's been nearly 40 years since I played the game. After losing both legs in a car accident in November of 1974, I had no idea what life had in store for me. I found the answer when I started playing wheelchair basketball. My mom and dad are responsible for getting me started down that path. They heard Courage Center had a wheelchair square dancing program and encouraged me to check it out. It was at one of those practices that I was approached by a guy who worked in the rehab department. He asked if I would be interested in trying wheelchair basketball. Curious, I showed up to watch a practice, and Terry Hansen, who would become my future coach, encouraged me to join in. I didn't know much about the sport, and I had no clue how to even play from a wheelchair. So I opted to sit on the sidelines and take it all in. The following week, I showed up ready to give it a shot. My chair and E and J had armrests and probably weighed 40 pounds. I was quickly brought to an equipment room where Courage Center kept spare chairs and parts. The chair I borrowed was made of aluminum and didn't have armrests. What a difference. I left that practice excited and energized. Terry Hansen taught me the rules and the basics of the game, how to dribble, pass, shoot, use your rim to pick up a ball, set a pick, and play defense. He had an easygoing coaching style. Yelling at his players was not a part of who he is. When we needed a calming presence during a timeout, he was that person. To this day, we remain great friends. When I first started playing, there were few women's teams to compete against. The University of Illinois was the closest, so we would travel to each other's states several times during the season. We learned their plays, who the key players were. I guess you could say we had each other's cheat sheets. To help us gain additional experience, we played against some of our Minnesota men's teams. This helped us play more physical, which made us more competitive. The first national women's basketball tournament I participated in was in Detroit during the 1975-76 season. What a thrill to compete in this atmosphere. The stakes were high, the national title was on the line, and we were there to give it our all. We placed fourth, but we weren't deterred. It just made us work harder. When Sharon Ron, now Sharon Hedrick, came along, she brought a whole new dimension to the game. Her skills were steps above anyone else. She was an inspiration and a role model. I was a young, wide-eyed teenager with an eagerness to learn the game and improve my skills. As I improved, I was able to mentor younger players who were just starting out. I loved playing. I wasn't aware of the impact I was making to the sport. I also didn't realize I was considered an elite player until I was selected for international competition. The first such opportunity came in 1981, when I was chosen to represent the United States in Japan for the International Year of the Disabled Person. The purpose of that trip was to develop and promote wheelchair sports and the abilities of people with disabilities across their country. Our games took place in 6 different cities across Japan. Afterwards, each city generously hosted a welcome banquet where we were treated to food and drinks. This was my first time tasting sushi, which I quickly washed down with sake, and I have not had sushi since. Our schedule allowed us time to take in each city and the beautiful scenery. This was the funnest and most memorable trip I've taken, especially when Frank Burns was one of the coaches. The jokes, the pranks, the sing-alongs, unforgettable. Prior to 1982, anyone without a spinal cord injury was excluded from participating in international competitions. I was exceptionally grateful when that rule was changed. And I was speaking with Cheryl Hines earlier tonight, and who, by the way, gave me this beautiful wrist corsage. It's made out of a basketball. And she informed me that Stan Labanowicz was the one who pressed to get amputees to be included into international competitions. So thank you, Stan. Appreciate it. I was selected to the 1982 Pan American team. The games were held in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We took home the gold. What a proud moment when that medal is placed around your neck. Along with basketball, the games included track and field, swimming, archery, table tennis, weightlifting, and pentathlon. When we weren't practicing or competing, we were able to attend some of the other events. Very fun. After 1982, due to work obligations and financial reasons, I was unable to participate in additional international competitions. On my call to the hall, I was reminded that I was a pioneer of the women's game. That word made me reflect on what that meant for the sport. Part of that was the importance of sustaining and growing the women's program. My first year, there were 4 teams. I'm thrilled that it's continued to expand to the 16 teams participating in this year's women's national tournament. The players have changed, the equipment has improved, but the mission to keep the momentum and the competitive skills remains. In addition to learning basketball skills, I also learned some very important skills that help me maneuver through life. My teammate and good friend Karen was instrumental in teaching me how to pop a wheelie down a set of stairs. She also taught me how to improvise in the outdoors when there's no bathroom in sight. I'll leave the details to your imagination. Our team had some of the most talented women in the game. 3 of them, Susan Hagel, Karen Casper-Robeson, Marianne O'Leal, along with our coach Terry Hansen, are all members of the Hall of Fame. I am proud to join them, the other women in the Hall of Fame, as well as members who supported the women's division. I have such great memories from my playing days. Traveling with my teammates created a camaraderie that still exists today. Being a part of women's sports not only helped build my confidence, it taught me the importance of teamwork. This award didn't happen alone. Every one of my teammates contributed, and I am grateful to each of them. My family and friends loved watching us play, so much so that they followed our team around to different states. 2 of our best cheerleaders are here today, my sister Terry and my best friend Bert, right over there. My nephew Eric and my niece Amber are also here tonight. They showed up in Monroe yesterday, drove from Kansas. What a fantastic surprise. Few tears were shed. Thank you. Little did I know that square dancing could turn into something so fun and rewarding. If Courage Center hadn't had the resources to loan me a chair, I may never have had the chance to be a part of this wonderful ride. I am humbled to have left a mark on the game, and I am honored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, along with E, Jim, and Buddy. Thank you.
Okay, I have to laugh because Kathy said she started practicing for this moment like 3 months ago, you know, and she was so worried about being flustered, and I don't know, she sounded like a pretty smooth operator to me. That's what Hall of Fame does, yeah. Okay, to our next inductee, who is Buddy Barnes. And his presenter is Mike Woodard, class of 2019. Please come to the stage.
What a great crowd. I want to congratulate E, Coach Glass, Kathy, and of course Buddy for, as I say, being in the club. It's a great honor. I'm very honored tonight to be able to give this induction speech for Buddy. Besides him being a great man, he's also one of my best friends. said I wouldn't do it, so I got to get it together. So, yeah, I'm good. Buddy's story, officially in wheelchair basketball began in 1987 when he was a player, but it began long before that. He followed his Hall of Fame father, Carson, to the gym every day, where his mother, Beth, made him get the towels, and pick up basketballs, and get a water bottle. So that's where Buddy really learned, and for you that know Buddy, learned his servant heart, because that's what it's about with him. Everything he does in his life is about his servant heart. Not long after Buddy began playing, and I might embellish just a little bit here, so please forgive me. That's unusual for me, for you that know me. I really don't do that. But Buddy got, right before he got married to his late wife, who I loved dearly, Marquita, Buddy played wheelchair basketball, and it was kind of interesting because Buddy was a really good shooter, but he was really a role player, scored about 10 points a game, and then he got married. And Marquita took a very active role in the team, and she would keep the scorebook at the table, and when the next year, and I think I've got a good idea how that happened, but his scoring average went from 10 points a game to 38 points a game. Now, you can deduct what you want from that, but I think I know how that happened. That was a pretty good move, Buddy. Got your scoring average up, didn't it? In 1994, Buddy's playing career ceased, and he became a coach. And I had just started a few years my officiating career, and I actually, this is not an embellishment, this is a true story. I officiated one of Buddy's games, and Buddy was coaching. And while he knew the game, and he was very good at what he did, coaching and playing, I'm not sure he knew the finer nuances of coaching, because one of the things that he never told his players, don't ever ask for a technical foul, because this is what happened. And I have to read it because it's pretty long. But during the game, one of his players got a technical foul, and one of his other players objected to it. I'm the official, and the player says, well, just give me one. Well, of course. Yeah, that's easy, When a player asks to give you a technical, that's automatic. Well, then his other player said, give me one. Well, sure. Now we got 3. Well, this is a true story. The first player that got the technical said, if you're going to give those 2 one, give me one. Well, by the time they got done asking for technicals, we had 6. During a dead ball, 6. I vividly remember Buddy running down the sideline and going, Mike, stop, I don't have any players left. True story. So Buddy learned after that he had to tell his players, don't ever ask for a technical foul, ever. But going back to who he was, his 37 years in the sport, he's done everything. If you look at his body of work or his resume, player, coach, administrator, championship division commissioner, D3 commissioner. Now he's commissioner of Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. He's on the ranking committee. What a body of work. And when you look at inducting someone in the Hall of Fame, that's exactly what you want. But what's more outstanding is when Buddy was announced into the Hall of Fame, and you saw it on our social media, and you saw the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that commented about it. That's who Buddy was. He can't go through a gym without someone talking to him. You heard when we announced him tonight, the room just roared. Everyone loved Buddy, but then Buddy loves everyone. And one of the biggest things that I'd always tell him in his officiating career was, when you go out after the game, take your shirt off and you can visit then, because he couldn't go through a gym without having everyone talk to him. It's just who he is. Recently, and another little story about who he is. Recently, this happened a couple months ago. We had an official working a tournament that had forgotten some personal items in the gym. And this official had driven 60 miles to get to the airport when they realized they didn't have their personal items. So they called Buddy up, said, "Hey, Buddy, can you look for my items? You know, try to retrieve them." Buddy went back to the gym, looked around everywhere, couldn't find them. It just so happened that they had located those items. They were taken. They located them about 40 miles away. Buddy had already driven home, and he lived about 80 miles from the gym. They located those items at a rest stop. Someone had taken them. And Buddy then drove in the middle of the night 50 miles to get that official's items. And then he took them home, and the next day, out of his own pocket, paid for those to be overnighted to this official. And that's just who he was. You know, he's there for your beck and call. On a more personal note, and this is for you, this is for you, Buddy, okay? I feel so honored to be able to give this speech. I've known Buddy for 37 years. And as you have poured so many of your best qualities into my life, qualities that I honestly needed. You kept me calm, you kept me grounded, and the funny story is, if I've heard it once, I heard it 8,000 times. Mike, I'll pray for you. And he did a lot of praying for me. Right before his late wife, Marquita, passed, she called me up, and she was worried about Buddy and his future. She made me promise that I would watch out for him and take care of him. And I tried to do that every single day. But Buddy, if I'm being honest, while I was trying to look out for you, you did that for me 1,000 times over. So from the bottom of my heart, I love you. Thank you for being my friend that you've been. You made me a better man. You supported me, prayed for me, and stood beside me through life. I want to say congratulations. You deserve this more than you will ever admit. And I'm beyond honored to stand here and give this speech to my best friend, Buddy Barnes, who now is inducted into the NWBA Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Buddy Barnes, welcome to the NWBA Hall of Fame. All right. Let's suit him up. Suit him up. There we go. NWBA logos everywhere. Yeah. Woo. Your Barron Championship ring. Paul, his plaque. Wow, wow.
Move to the hall. Wow. They told me that I only had a few minutes to take 58 years of my life. And put it into 10 minutes. But as most of you know, I grew up in this sport. And I've got to thank the NWBA, Dave, the Hall of Fame, to the many members of the organization through the years that I've met. I've got to thank, of course, Mom and Dad, because that's where I got my start. Of course, my late wife, Marquita, to the people, my guys, my referees, my peers. Thank you guys so much. I've learned so much from you guys over the years, from my teammates that I played with for 7 years. What a great sport to play. I played high school, played in college. This was more fun than any of that. And the lifelong friendships, the feeling of camaraderie, the family, which is the NWBA, very important to me and my family. When my wife passed away in 2017, they told me that I would not be able to, she wanted to be cremated, so I wouldn't be able to get her body for about 3.5 weeks. And went home, 11:30 at night. This was on a Tuesday. And got up, went to work at 5:30. Never missed a day. Thursday morning, I'm on a flight to San Diego for the first time in my life to Junior Rodriguez's tournament. And the warmth, the family, that is the NWBA, helped me through that. And I just kept going week after week. Really appreciate that. It's really amazing going from a ball boy or a mascot to a ball boy to an equipment manager to loading and unloading 30-pound E&Js, to going on the long trips before interstates were fully available in the U.S. 2-lane roads. I get car sick easy, so that was a lot of fun. But I remember laying in the back window, the old cars, laying in the back window down those bumpy roads and getting thrown out and stuff like that. But it was always fun to see the people. Watch Dad play against Roger Davis in Nashville. Got to see him play against Dave Kiley, Carl Cash, Don Vendello. It's really amazing through the years how much this game meant to my family, meant to me, and it still does. Definitely always wanted to give back. After playing for 7 years, went into 33 years of refereeing, and it's just been a magical ride. And it's still happening today. Today I didn't get to crown Dallas for their championship today. It's the first time in 16 years. I think I had a pretty good reason to not be there. But congratulations to them. To the adult division committee members. Love you guys. Love working with you. Love doing what is best in the best interest of our membership. Sometimes it's not popular. Sometimes people get upset. Can't imagine that as a referee. I keep people getting upset. Coach. We're not always going to agree on everything. But at the end of the day, if we're doing what is best for this organization, then we're doing the right thing. To Janie, the classification committee, your classifiers, thank you for what you do. You make all of us a lot better. Getting the right classification when you can. I know it's tough sometimes, and as people get stronger and better in their chairs after newly injured, those classes have to change sometimes now. That's always not fun conversations. I've been there right next to you when that's happened. But I've enjoyed that journey, and this has been a journey. My adult division chairman, my first one I dealt with was Dan Ferreira. Love Dan. Dan's done so much for this organization. I've gone on to Jaime Balcazar, and then to my good friend Tim Fox. Been my right-hand man for many years, became president of the board of directors, so he hands it over to Andy Hall, one of my best friends. Love you, Andy. Thank you for coming all the way from Austin just to be here. Awesome. And then my right-hand man now, who's been there for a few years now, Carnes Cartwright, a man with a servant heart that only wants the best for this organization. And that's what all of us truly want. Had a great conversation with Keith Wallace yesterday, and what the perspective, how things are for a referee that's been in the chair and played, how we talked about that. We do have a unique perspective if you've been in the chair to referee this game. So it's neat to pass stuff like that on. I always love getting referees in chairs for the first time when they try to learn to referee. Oh, that's a hole. Oh, that's a bump. That's advantage, disadvantage. Love everything about this sport and what it brings in the lives it changes. Remember, he who thinks he leads and has no followers is only taking a walk. So be sure not only with yourself, add to yourself daily. If you don't know Christ, get to know him. He'll do a lot for you. Give you peace, comfort, and a joy beyond measure. I love the NWBA, and I love each one of you because you are my family and have been for many, many years. Thank you.
Buddy Barnes.
Let's be perfectly clear that Buddy Barnes and his father, Carson Barnes, are the first and only in our history father-son duo in the Hall of Fame. Our next inductee, good friend, Coach Jim Glatch, and is being presented tonight by Mike Looney. Mike, please come to the stage.
Good evening, everyone, and congratulations to all the 2026 Hall of Fame inductees. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing James Jim Glatch to the 2026 National Wheelchair Basketball Association Hall of Fame. I don't know that I've ever called him by his real name. It's always been Coach or Glatch, so it's honestly odd to say that. I know I'm not the original person who was supposed to be up here introducing Coach, and when I saw Trey was introducing him, I couldn't think of a better person to do it. So I'm going to try my best to be as good as Trey. A lot slower. I first met Coach in the summer of 2003 at a Summer League game in Fairmount Park in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I wasn't a traditional recruit, just a young man newly injured playing Summer League ball. Long story short, I went on to play for Coach at Edinboro during the most successful years of the program. He believed in me just like all of his players, and I've taken so much from my time at Edinboro, and I owe a lot of my success in life to Coach and playing at Edinboro, so I thank him for that. It's tough to precisely articulate Coach's accolades with more than 30 years of service to this organization, not just serving as the head coach of Edinboro University's wheelchair basketball program, but also being president of the intercollegiate division, serving as the head of the high performance committee, and coaching a U.S. team to a Paralympic medal. All of that is just proof that the man simply doesn't cut corners. He started coaching his first collegiate game in 1996 against the University of Illinois, which Edinboro would go on to lose 91-6. But that was just the beginning. That was just the beginning. He would go on to win over 350 games at Edinboro, finish national runner-up in 2007 in the NWBA Intercollegiate Championship Division, and coach numerous All-Americans, academic All-Americans, and future national team members in his illustrious career. As we all know, the game comes with a level of sacrifice, and that has certainly not eluded Coach. Long hours, missed time with family, and endless travel. And yet he showed up day after day, year after year. Not just to build programs, but to build people. Behind all of that, supporting him every step of the way, is his incredible family. Coach, you've been blessed with a loving family who has shared in those sacrifices, celebrated the highs, stood by you through it all, and was a surrogate to most of the players on your team. Was a surrogate family to most of the players on your team. And Sandy, I must say, I don't know how you've done it. You've managed to put up with him for over 40 years. But we're all grateful that you have, and we truly believe you are the MVP. Throughout his 30-plus years, there has been one true constant. He truly cared deeply about his players and pushed them beyond what they thought they were capable of. As a coach, he sometimes had the support system for his players had to be the support system for his players who are hundreds of miles away from their family. He is always there for the good times and the bad times a player may experience, and this extends beyond our time at Edinboro. His impact isn't just measured in wins, titles, or medals. It's measured in the athletes he's mentored, the leaders he's developed, and the standard he set for everyone in the community. He's done it with integrity, vision, and a commitment that few can match. It was his belief in the sport, belief in the program, and most importantly, belief in the people around him that brought him back day after day, year after year, season after season. For his players, It wasn't the small town of Edinburgh that brought us back. It wasn't the spectacular facilities that we had at Edinburgh that brought us back. And it sure as heck wasn't the weather that brought us back to Edinburgh. Year after year, season after season, it was Coach Glatch. And with that, it is my great honor to introduce the 2026 National Wheelchair Basketball Association Hall of Fame inductee, Coach Jim Glatch.
Thank you, Mike Looney. Coach Jim Glatch, welcome to the NWBA Hall of Fame, class of 2026. Yeah, love you, brother. Yep. Here you go. Pseudo. There we go. He has been revealed. We got some bling for your ring finger. And a plaque and a photo in the center of the ring. There you go. You can set that ring.
It's going to take a little bit to get through this, so I apologize early. First and foremost, DK, thank you. The Hall of Fame Committee, everybody that's a part of the National Wheelchair Basketball Association the last 30 years have been some of the most incredible times of my life with some of the most amazing people I've ever met. The commitment they make to this sport, but the community as a whole is off the charts. When DK called, as usual, he was trying to give me a hard time and told me we were going to write a book on coaching. So when he got through that part of the process, we had a pretty good laugh. I said when I watched the video on Facebook, they had to bleep something out. I know that surprises some of you in this room, but I also want to congratulate the other inductees to the class of 2026. It's a great group. Having an opportunity to spend time with you from 09 to 12 was a blast, even though Walter kind of got in the way sometimes. I mean, kicked you out of your own bedroom, you know, we can't explain that whole process. Buddy, you know, all the things that you have done over the course of your career is unbelievable. Kathy, I wish I could have watched you play back in the day. That would have been fun. But with Buddy, you know, and officials and I have always had a running thing going on. I will tell you that the one thing I truly believe about officials, and maybe never share with them, is they have the toughest job in the world. They go out there on the court. They got 10 bodies, 2 coaches. Some are nice, some are not. And they, you know, we expect them to be perfect and forget that they're human and doing what they can. But there was one day in Charlottesville, Mr. Barnes wasn't calling the game I thought he should be calling. And I'm doing my normal pacing up and down the court. And finally I looked at Buddy and I said, hey, kiss me, kiss me, kiss me. And he just, what's going on here? And so at halftime, Buddy walks up to me and he says, Coach, why do you want me to kiss you? I said, well, before I like to have a kiss. And so Buddy had his beautiful wife waiting back at the hotel room, and she's like, come here, big boy. And so I got my kiss. Buddy and I formed a great friendship over the years, and I'm appreciative of everything he has meant to not just me and my teams, but to the sport. You know, to understand how, in my opinion, how to play this game, you have to get into the chair. You know, Buddy's correct. You gotta get into the chair. And so '95, Dan Burns calls me up and says, "Hey, you got to come to this camp at Ball State." I said, "Okay." So I go with wheelchair repair. We fix this chair up. I go out there, and I'm awful. But the two coaches that I had initially, they thought I was funny. Some guy named Trooper Johnson, and the other one was Mark Shepard. And I got harassed for the whole thing. But the other thing I had the opportunity to do was go through a lot of coaches' sessions with some incredible people. Dan had set it up so there was a coaches' clinic every day. And it's something I look back on and say, wow, that was probably one of the best lessons I ever had. Brad Hedrick, Lou Shaver, Bob Simon, Dan Burns. And they all come in with a different approach on how to coach the game. I would take those lessons and try to bring them back every year to Edinburgh. Over the course of time, I got to meet some other greats. The next year it was Frank Burns. Frank's a character. You guys don't know Frank. He's a character. And so we would have coaches class every night after the sessions were done. He would walk me and TC and Trace when he was there, and we would just walk down to Frank's office, which was whatever adult establishment there was to have beverages. And he would educate us on the sport of wheelchair basketball. The yang to Frank's yin was Ed Owens. And the next year I got to meet Ed, and I would sit there and listen to him talk and talk and talk and talk. And if you paid attention to what Ed had to say, you could learn a lot in a short period of time. I was really fortunate that I came through the learning process when I did, because those kind of coaches, I don't know that they exist, not at that level and not that many. Building a program at Edinburgh wasn't easy. I brought all the lessons back I learned from my camps, but I had a bunch of kids who never really played the sport, and I, as a rookie coach, thought, oh, well, this won't be too tough, and so I went to a Keystone Conference meeting, and John Sikora is sitting there as the commissioner and asking all the coaches, hey, when do you want to play the conference tournament? Beginning of the season, the end of the season? I'm like, hey, we got to play this at the end of the season. He looked at me and goes, why? And I said, well, I want to get my team prepared, at which point everybody in the room starts laughing, and anyone that knows me knows that's not something I took lightly, but I said, they just never win. I said, well, we're going to about change that. A year later, Dan had talked me into coming into the college division. And I said, okay, guys, this is going to be great because we're going to play against guys, other players our own age. We're going to be fine. This is going to be a lot easier. As was alluded to earlier, we opened up with the University of Illinois. It was Brad's last year. And we came out, we were playing at Wisconsin Whitewater. And we came out 4-0, and Brad calls a timeout, and I'm like, all right, guys, this is it. We're doing great. And then they went on an 80-0 run, and that kind of ended the whole process. Throughout the course of the game, there's a skinny blonde-haired kid that wouldn't shut his face, and he kept scoring on us. I'm like, can they take this guy out of the game? But Will had a hell of a game that day, as he would pretty much every other time we played him for Illinois, so it was quite an education. One of the things I learned during those first couple of years is teams recruited. It was a concept that Edinburgh said, oh, we can't recruit. I went to a vice president and I said, listen, I need to go out and recruit. Every team recruits. He said, we don't recruit at Edinburgh. But he said, if you can get the president to say okay, fine. So I went over to the president's office, came back, put in the travel request, and the vice president calls me back in the office. He says, we don't recruit. I said, yeah, the president said I could recruit. That vice president was gone about a month later. We went and recruited. And I go to my first junior tournament, and I'm sitting on the sidelines, and I'm watching this game, and I'm like, this is incredible. It's this team out of Michigan, and they have this guy who just shoots the ball so well, and I'm like, I got to have that guy. Here comes Frogley, like, what are you doing? I said, you see this guy? I said, he's a really good basketball player. He goes, yeah, you're not getting him. I said, why am I not getting him? Well, he's going to Texas. I said, but Michigan's close. And he said, he's got a full scholarship to Texas Arlington. I said, oh, okay, well, his name was Paul Schulte. And I was like, all right, he's probably going to be pretty good. It was great. Go down to the next court in Arkansas is playing, and as soon as I started looking at Eddie McGee, Frog comes over and starts shaking. So he's like, no, don't talk. You got to talk to other people. So the whole concept of recruiting, there was like no book on that. So while we had all these great coaches who could tell you about how to coach, how to recruit was a whole different ball. The next thing I did was I went back. We had a new vice president. I said, I need scholarship money. I said, we got to play against this team that has full rides. And this new vice president said, no. You're not allowed to raise money for scholarships. I said, I see. I said, well, let's have a conversation. No, there's no conversation. 2 weeks later, phone call comes into our house, and it's from my wife, who's an alum of Edinburgh, and they said, hey, we want to know if you want to give to the annual giving. I said, can we start our own scholarship program? I said, she would really like to give to this wheelchair basketball program they have up there. And I said, we want to call it Friends of Wheelchair Basketball Alum. And he's like, okay, that's fine. So I give them the donation. We started in Sandy's name. And about a week later, that same vice president calls me back into her office and says, hey, I told you cannot start scholarship programs. I said, I didn't. But if you want to go home and talk to her, good luck with that whole process. Building the team up, Matt Scott and I were talking earlier in an interview, and building a team up is not always easy. There's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of fun. And it's never about one person. But the initial person, if there was an impact player that we picked up in 2002, would have been a young man named Jose Lee. Jose would go on to be a 4-time All-American, and when he came onto the campus, he said, Coach, I guarantee I'll get you to the national championship game. And I thought, okay. You're this big and you're fast, but I said that's a pretty bold statement. Jose was an incredible player for us. He played both ends of the floor, defensively, offensively. He could shoot, and he was a pain in the butt to most people he had to guard. But he needed someone to run with him, someone that was kind of his opposite. And that year we picked up Duty. Now Duty is a very good basketball player, and with Jose, those two made a really great backcourt for us. But Bryce had a way of just trying to give me more gray hair than I absolutely needed. And so his name kind of became a 4-letter word. And most officials would hear, like, why are you yelling at this guy? And I would scream Duty's name out at least once a game. But he was a heck of a ball player, a great student, and a perfect partner for Jose Lee. They were like two brothers that would fight off the court and on the court. I never saw anything like it. Looney was a little modest. We would play Philadelphia every year, and we'd go down there, or they'd come up to the Borough shootout, and he would just torch us. 20, 25 points. And after about the second or third time, he's like, how much do you want to lose by today, Coach? I'm like, give me a break. And we'd put Jose on him full court, and he still scored 20 points, and we couldn't figure it out. So I got tired of losing to him, and I just said, hey, you want to come to Edinburgh, get a master's degree, and help us kind of move forward with that process. By the time we got to the 06-07 season, between graduation and we had a couple of kids not make it through, we had added Tommy Gray from Georgia. Just a wild man would be the best way to describe Tommy, but a hell of a ball player inside. And we got a transfer in Jason Matthews, who was a solid Class 1, very long. And we had basically a 5-man team, and we brought in 3 freshmen. The freshman we thought that would help us the most was a kid named Bobby Krantz out of Long Island, New York. He just played with Steve Sario in a national championship game in juniors, and I'd watched him play, and he gave us a little bit of size. I thought, okay, we don't really have a lot of size after Tommy, so this will be good. And we brought in Andrew Grossman, and Gross could shoot. He could shoot from anywhere on the floor, especially he got hot, and he loved the 3-ball. So I said, okay. And then we brought this skinny little kid in who hadn't played basketball in about 2 years. He was wrestling. And I just remember him from an Illinois camp, and I said, hey, I got to bring him in. I said, and so I talked to Bill Green, who was his former coach. I don't know where he's at. Well, it turns out he started writing a book. And so when he wrote the book, we figured out where his high school was. So I tried to call him. We got a hold of him. we got a hold of his coach, his wrestling coach. His wrestling coach, fortunately, had wrestled at Edinboro. And he calls me and says, hey, Trey will give you a call in about a week. He's doing this, that, and everything else. I said, okay. That was our 8-man squad. We went in the 06-07 season with 5 guys who would play almost 40 minutes a day, and 3 freshmen who were trying to figure out how to get through college, and 1 trying to figure out how to dribble, pass, and shoot. That person turned into a 4-time Paralympic medalist, and his hard work and his dedication were unbelievable. But that was a fun season until we ran into the likes of Whitewater, and Trace, your team was just unbelievable that year. You guys had such a dominant group of people. I think you only had 1 guy on the team that didn't play on a national team, and it was, if we didn't have to play against you, it would have been a lot of fun to watch. But I also got introduced to Mr. Chambers there. And that introduction, we had played them a couple times that year, and they'd beat us, and it was, okay, we got this, we're going to do that. And then halfway through the first half, the tide changed, and it was all on one play. Joe and Bryce got into a rolling match on the floor. I'm like, we're playing basketball, and they're rolling around the floor. And I said very nicely to Mr. Chambers, I said, that wasn't very nice of you to run over Bryce. And he looked back at me, and he said, I didn't do it. We had some words, and I'll tell you what, it was the building block of a pretty good friendship afterwards. It was, I respect the fact that he's never stopped competing on the floor and off, so. After this 06-07 season, I think a lot of what Mike said is true. You know, we just continue to build people, build players, and try to get them to graduate and move forward. We did develop a couple kids that would go on to national teams. These guys that are on national teams now played with Trey. We got Andy Garbarino to move forward and chase, and that was fun. But the thing that I look back at with Edinboro that I'm most proud of is the 75% graduation rate. And those kids, most of them have incredible professions, whether it be in the federal government or in the private sector. I've always thought that that was a big part of what I was supposed to be doing as a college coach. Recruiting kids in, developing them as players, and hopefully developing them as adults. And I'm very proud of each and every one that have continued to work for that. In 01, I got lucky. I had been on a couple selection committees, and Tracy was forming a junior national team for Brazil, and he asked me if I would like to be a part of that, and I was very honored when he asked me, and we had a blast down there. I got to learn a lot. It was one of those things where every day was something new. But like I was telling someone earlier today, it doesn't seem to matter what international event you go to and what team you take, something always happens. I mean, and it's unplanned. And so we're down in Brazil, and right across the street from the hotel, there was an adult place, and Trace had said, look, there's only one rule. You are not permitted to go across the street. And all the players were like, okay, yeah, okay, we won't do that. 3 nights later, right across from my room are Opie and Paulie, and they come flying into my room, and I'm like, what's wrong? And they're like, look outside. And there's half of our team, one with the camera on his shoulder, headed across the street. I told Mike Glenser, I said, call Trace. I think Tracy had wings on that day because I've never seen anybody move that fast. I'm down 2 sets of steps and he's flying by me out the door. We had a pretty good laugh on it afterwards, and the experience was huge. I told him I wouldn't throw him in the box. Allegedly, yeah. In 09, I got an opportunity to take on the lead as the U23 coach, and what a blast. But I think that the things that happened during that period of time as far as development were huge. You know, when you look at the team that Tracy put together in 01 and through 05, you're looking at, you know, Paul Schulte, Mikey Pay, Jay Nelms, Josh Turek, Jeremy Campbell. We had 2 incredible Class 1s who didn't move forward, but they very likely could have. When we got into 09, we got Nate, Brian Bell, Steve Serio, Trayvon. We had both our Class 1s, Johnny G and Les. I know I'm missing someone in that mix. And you look at the 4 consecutive medals that the men's teams have had, and you can contribute to the hard work of all those young men I just mentioned, and the ability for the coaches to have the opportunity to pick those guys and be ready to go over and compete. Those were some phenomenal U23 teams, and when you look at the rosters, oh, I missed Matt. How could I miss Matt? He was the, but yeah, it was that development I think really built our program moving forward. And I'm really looking forward to see what's next from the U23s and U25s. One of the things that you have to look at when you're a coach is the time you spend away. I have an incredible family. The family that I have at Edinburgh will always be with me, and I love those guys to death. We went through a lot, both on the court and off the court, with their personal lives, with their academics, and to this day, we stay in touch, and that's almost 200 people that I had the opportunity to coach. But at home, there's a bigger family, and they're the family that doesn't always get to see you every day. My brother Ryan, who a lot of you guys probably have never met and never saw, drove all the way down from Indianapolis to support me. He's a member of the U.S. Navy, and he's just an incredible young man. His family was here, although it sounds like they were a little tired and cranky and decided to go back to bed. I'm very blessed to have him in my life and to be a big part of what I've done over the course of my career. We were blessed 4 years ago with Cam. He's my grandson, and is he sleeping? Oh, I don't have to say this part then, no. He's my little buddy. In the mornings he'll come over and he'll wake me up. Hey, Pap, time to get up, we gotta go down and play. I don't miss an opportunity. I could have 3 or 4 hours of sleep, but Pap's getting up, and he's playing with Cam, and I'm loving every second of that. Steffer, one of the things about all 3 of my children is they've been a big part of the program, not just as a support, but actually a part of the program. So Steph is a Borough grad, and she's gone on with her degree, and she's a data analyst at Erie Insurance. She's doing incredible stuff. But while she was in college, she was a track and field athlete. And after her freshman year, she's like, Dad, I don't really want to do this anymore. We had one of those years where there were like 5 guys left because of whatever. And she said, you guys have an AB rule. Can I play? I said, sure. We're playing Bosie in London in our first tournament, and she hits like 3 or 4 shots in a row from the free throw line. And the next thing you know, she's getting backpicked. And she's looking at me, she's going, what is this guy doing? I said, he doesn't want you to score anymore, honey, so you're going to stay there pretty much the rest of the game. As the year went on, she did pretty well with her chair skills, and she was 3rd on our team that year in scoring. It was wonderful. When Carly was there, Carly had already taken a trip when she was in high school. Her and Alex decided that Dad didn't really work that hard, so they jumped on the bus and went down to Charlottesville with us one time. And when they got back, realized that those trips are not just all fun and games and a little harder. But when Carly got to school, she was done with her athletic career. She just wanted to be a part of athletics, and so she was humongous help to me. She was like basically my second as far as running events, making sure everything got done, and making sure Dad had the practice plan at practice every day. The balls were out there. She got into the gym with my guys, helped them learn how to shoot, because some of the guys I bring in don't always have that shooting touch, and her help. And then the one year we needed her to go back on the road as our statistician, because Joey just decided he couldn't make it. Her help during those years, I really missed when she left. And then Alex, when we started running junior camps, that was my roommate. for the first 8 years, and it was great because Alex was the same age as most of our campers, and so he would go in there and he would hang out with the guys, and they would have a blast. And during that period, each one of them learned how. I was sad when he graduated from high school because I lost my camp roommate. It was a bummer, because we used to have a blast together. But you know, watching them grow up and continue to be a part of the guys and the family, it was a reunion, not just for me, but for all of them. My 10th wedding anniversary, like many, I spent Champaign, Illinois, at a junior tournament recruiting. And my wife wasn't very happy with me. She's like, you know, you're always on the road, and this is our 10th anniversary. And so I bought her this really nice ring. She got a nice ring. I got dinner with Mark Keller, Mike Frogley, and Bozy. And I was like, you know, I think she got the better end of this deal. She's truly been the backbone of our family. She's truly been the team mom for 29 years, and she's been my best friend for longer than that. 34 years ago, she said, I do. So I'm on another wheelchair basketball event where it's my anniversary, but I've been very lucky for 34 years to have her by my side. I don't know what I'd do without her. Again, I want to thank Dave and the whole committee. I want to thank everybody in this room for what you guys do every day for this organization. I want to thank Cheryl Vines for letting me get my teeth wet with the tournament selection committee and the different stuff that's all involved. And I hope someday each and every one of you get an opportunity to be up here. It's incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Jim Glatch, class of 2026. Our next and final inductee is Eric E. Barber and is being presented by two of his Chicago brothers, Earl Jordan and George Alfaro, by video. Here we go.
Congratulations, E, on your induction into the NWBA Hall of Fame. I'm so proud of you, bro. We've come a long way since the 80s when we both started wheelchair sports together. We played on various teams with and we played against each other. So I'm really proud of you, bro. Like I said, you know, from those days back riding the bench with the Chicago Pacemakers and trying to find shade in that hot heat at Soldier Field. You remember that time, Eric. From then all the way to like us playing junior basketball with the Dogs, and you also playing basketball against Michael Jordan. You know, those are three big things. You know, in addition to your time with the Men's USA basketball, and also you receiving your, I think, PhD. So congratulations on that also. And it's my honor to be introducing you to the Hall of Fame right now. I am totally proud of you, bro, and I want to wish you congratulations. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Hey, Eric, I'm proud of you. Being inducted to the Hall of Fame, I think it's the most prestigious award in the world for anybody. Of course, I think about our childhood days when, I know you remember this, when you used to drive all the way from the south suburbs in your little Nissan when we were in high school to pick up Earl and myself and play in the streets of Chicago, basketball at wee hours of the night, in the heat, in the cold. And then, of course, playing as a teammate with you in junior ball, acknowledging that you are one of the pioneers of junior wheelchair basketball is amazing. The fact that you took in your career to the collegiate level, won awards, and then escalated way beyond to the Paralympian level as well. I mean, you have created so much with what you have, Eric. And I thank God that you kept our friendships very tight and close as well. You devote yourself to the things you love, to the things you care about, to your art. And because of that, you are where you are today. I mean, seeing that our childhood playing on the concrete floors is the genesis of your Hall of Fame status. And it gives me nothing but great pleasure to see you evolve to the elite player that you are and the great, amazing friend that you've always been. I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for your mentorship. I thank you for everything you've done to the game of wheelchair basketball. I'm proud of you, Eric. You've done well, my brother. Congratulations being inducted to the Hall of Fame. Eric, welcome as a class of 2026 inductee to the NWBA Hall of Fame.
Let's welcome Eric E. Barber to the class of 2026 NWBA Hall of Fame. We're going to seat him up. Get that Barron Championship ring. Show it, yeah. Yep. I guess some microphone would help.
Thanks, Dave. Man, much love to my brothers from different mothers. I wouldn't be here tonight without them. They cultivated my love of wheelchair basketball. As George said, you know, we would travel all over the city of Chicago, south suburbs, just to find a court. George was the first one to learn how to drive, actually. So it was him that was driving around in some kind of shiesty cars that either his uncle or his cousin, his brother would fix up, but it was the commitment to get us to a court. And we were out there in the heat, playing wheelchair basketball on asphalt, on concrete, whatever we could find, because we love the game. And again, without them, you know, I wouldn't be here tonight. And that's kind of my theme. I wouldn't be here tonight. Having been to many Hall of Fame inductee ceremonies, just on that side, without all the lights in my face, without the microphone, but on that side, I understand that this is not really about me. This is about the people who allowed me, who supported me to get here. And so tonight, I really want to, you know, share and give the flowers to those people who allowed me to be here tonight. Again, and one other thing I would like to say is thanks to Larry Labiak, who helped develop and coordinate that video to get Earl and George on video to induct me tonight. Larry has been a very, very dear friend from day one, sold me my first lightweight Quadra, so which still weighed, you know, maybe 25, 30 pounds, but still better than the Everson Jennings 40, 50-pound chairs. But Larry's been in my life a long time, so again, special shout out to Larry for his participation. Ever since Dave gave me the call to the hall, it's been really like my birthday. All the congratulations and the well wishes that have come in have meant so much more to me. You know, some of the greats in the game, Tim Kazee, Tree Waller, Mike Slappy, Dan Burns, Mo Phillips, Cheryl Vines, Chuck Gill, all have reached out and provided me with, the utmost heart-pouring of congratulations and well wishes. As I said, when DK called me and, called to the hall, Sports and Spokes was my basketball Bible. I mean, that's a phrase that Boo Davis provided us, but it really was a publication that I poured through over the years and saw all the great names, the Dave Kileys, the Jimbo Millers, the Ronnie Bird Alsips, all the great names, Curtis Bell, all the great names, Tree Waller. And I aspired to play basketball from reading that magazine. It was really key to my development, to see all the box scores and the players and see what they were doing. Back then you didn't have social media, you didn't have, instant plays and videos. You had to relive it through a magazine that was put out 2 to 3 months after the national tournament. But to me, it was still, breathtaking and something to aspire to, and then I did. And so again, shout out to, the late greats, Cliff Crace and Kurt Beamer for their time at Sports and Spokes and the things that they did. Again, I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to play alongside with some very good and talented players for many, many years. It's been a dream come true. And, again, I'd like to thank DK and his crew, the NWBA committee for, making this come true for me. It's been an absolute honor and a blessing. And so again, if you haven't already, look on the tables and get your QR codes and please give as much as you can. Again, the theme of the night for me is I wouldn't have been here without them. And I've got to start with my family, specifically my mom, a single mother who worked a third shift and still on Saturday mornings had the energy to get up and drive me from the south side of Chicago to the north side of Chicago with only a few hours of sleep just to watch me try to play a game where I couldn't even hit the net with the ball at that time. And so, the dedication that my mom put out to have me just be in a realm that she knew was very important to me is, one of the best moments and feelings of my life. And so I thank and love you, Mom. To my aunts and uncles who have always provided a loving environment, I want to say thank you and I love you all. Jackie, Joanne, Rita, Marlene, Durant, and Richard. To my cousins, who were my proxies for siblings, since I'm the only child, they were the originators of equity and inclusion for me. They included me in everything, sometimes to my own detriment. Nerf football and Nerf basketball in the living room, looking back was maybe a sketchy event to take part in, but, it paid dividends. But because their belief in me back then, I developed an innate belief in myself. And again, I thank and love you all. To Kelly, Dr. Kelly Danielski, she completed her doctorate degree this February. I thank you for being all things to me for the last 20 plus years. There's no way I'm here without you. I thank you and I love you. To my coaches, let me say this. I believe I was coachable and am coachable. However, I will admit that sometimes I had questions I needed more proof of concept for things from time to time, but still, I still believe I was coachable, and still am coachable, right? Right, Carlos? Um, understand that the 14 to 19-year-old E-Barber is different than the one that you see before you today, for the most part. And I owe most of what I am to the coaches, to the mentors that helped me get to this point. And it starts with Bob Trotter. Bob was my first coach. As an inpatient at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago, which is now known as Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, Bob would come pick me up and take me to basketball practices as an inpatient. Yeah, again, even though I could only hit the net, Bob spent countless hours working with me and teaching me the finer parts of wheelchair basketball. He told me to continue to work on those fundamental skills, the picking, the passing, and the core foundation skills, and that when time comes, you're stronger, and you're able to shoot and make a basket. These tried and true methods of the fundamentals of the game, talking, communicating, picking, those things are going to come in handy, and you're going to be able to go wherever you want to go in this game. And so, again, from that point, I tried to master and tried to really focus on the mental part of the game. And when the physical part became more apparent, again, that was my whole goal, to really work on those areas. It was a blessing for me in 2002 in Champaign, Illinois, when the Wheelchair Bucks won the NWBT crown. And it was a blessing, not because we won a championship, but because Bob was able to be there, and I was able to celebrate with him and hug him and tell him how right he was in terms of me mastering the core fundamentals of the game. It truly became a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then later that year, I was also named to the top 5 or all-world team in Kyushu, Japan. And so again, it came full circle. And again, it's one of those things where, at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, I tell kids all the time, I tell the athletes, master the fundamentals, get the fundamentals down. And we all can't shoot threes right away. We all may not be able to make layups consistently right away, but one thing you can do is learn how to move your chair, set picks, get your teammates open, and communicate. And so, again, came very in handy for me. And so, again, I want to thank and say thank you to Bob Trotter and how much I love him. Rest in peace. My other coaches along the way, Ron Likens, Mike Frogley, Steve Wilson, Tracy Chenoweth, Carlos Morales, Dan Burns, Mo Phillips, Jim Glatch, Paul Jackson, Tom Caldwell, Frank Burns, Mel Jewett, Chuck Gill, Boo Davis, Tree Waller, Dan Ferrera, and of course, Dr. Kelly. I thank you, and I love you all. And although I was never really an official player on his roster, I must mention one of the greatest gurus, at least to me, of all time, Dr. Brad Hedrick. His knowledge, his ability to convey the game in such a cerebral fashion has always fascinated and influenced me, and I thank him for sharing his wisdom with me. To my teammates, you can't reach levels of this sport and be successful without amazing teammates. And I've had some of the best teammates ever, particularly as a Class 1. you have to really depend on your teammates, and even more so, it's no coincidence that my first tryout camp was in 1994, and this was around the same time my local team could put on the floor Mel Jewett, Joe Johnson, Troy Sachs, and Jeff Glassbrenner, three of the biggest and best threes of their time. Clearly in that lineup, I was but definitely the least most threat of teams. I was not a concern of most teams when you had those three on the floor. So, it was important for me. I learned quickly to try to develop a shot and try to be a threat as much as I could. And for the most part, it was okay. I did get looks from the big three, of course, many times because, again, they all wanted the ball. So, again, to my teammates, you've always been part of the best parts of my life, particularly this team that I'm with this weekend. Not many teams have made me as proud as I am of this team that's here with us this weekend. We're in a situation where people are put in a situation where they have to play 40 minutes. They have to do things they haven't done in a long time or even ever. And even though we haven't won a game yet, we still have tomorrow. So again, I thank you all. Again, team is really important to me, and my very first team, as George kind of alluded to, was the RIC, or Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago Dogs. And so I would like to really pay homage and tribute to them. Earl Jordan, George Alfaro, Josh Fabian, Scott Hollenbach, Kevin Orr, Dave Radbell, Mike Kraft, Tony Aniquez, Mel Jewett, Pritish Patel, Bernard Wortham, Cedric Sanford, Eric Brunick. Again, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. There are a couple people that are very dear to me that are no longer with us, but always in spirit, and I'd like to acknowledge them. First, Gino Ostrowski, a loving soul that left us too soon. I was invited to a tryout back in 1994, World Championship team. When I didn't make that team, I was done. From a mental capacity, more so than anything, my desire to continue to try out and play was pretty much depleted. However, Gina felt otherwise. She told me in clear terminology that this is something you're good at and you're destined to do. Don't allow an obstacle or a setback determine your fate. It was profound words, and even though I was not successful at that tryout or for the Paralympic team in 1996, her faith in me drove me. I thank her for that undying spirit and belief in me, and I will carry it forever. And as I go, so does she. Secondly, I'd like to mention Dr. Richard Lee. Where do I begin about Dr. Lee? He was a dean at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. He referred to himself as the shooting coach. I would tell you, and we have a nameplate in our locker room with that moniker, Dr. Richard Lee, dedicated shooting coach. Doc and I would play horse for hours, typically a game of horse. If you're relatively decent, lasts a few minutes. Initially, each game that me and Doc would play lasted about 45 seconds or so. he was not a very good shooter initially, not at all. But I will say this: his trash talking game was impeccable, one of the greatest ever. And again, even though he wasn't a great shooter, he could talk the talk and better than anybody. And again, one of his best or memorable sayings is, I may never miss again. This is after hitting only one basket and then proceeding to miss the next 5. I can't believe I'm in a gym shooting with you for free. The visually impaired would pay to hear me shoot. And then the classic, why am I wasting my time in academia? I belong in the NBA. And so in hindsight, when I think about him and his whole persona and shooting coach, maybe he was right, because he talked so much trash. I never wanted to lose to him. And so I spent hours in Roseman Gym just practicing enough so I would never lose to him. So in hindsight, Doc probably was one of the best shooting coaches I've ever had. One of the other things about Doc is that he was a great mentor, so instrumental to the Whitewater program. He supported the team with 0 parameters. Anything we wanted or needed, he would get for us. He bought all new baskets with glass backboards. He bought us a new sound system for the infamous Roseman Gym. He is the reason I obtained my master's degree. He's the reason and inspiration for me to go beyond and get a doctorate degree. And he's an incredible, smart man that saw something in me, and which in turn motivated me to be better. I miss him, I thank him, I think of him often, and I would not be here athletically, professionally, without him. So again, I thank Doc Lee and his family. And just a short plug, we got a golf outing that memorializes Doc Lee. And if you are a golfer and are in the Midwest in May, the weekend or the Thursday before Memorial Day, please reach out and join our golf outing. Again, this is an amazing night. I thank you all for engaging me and giving me the time to say thank you publicly to those who shaped me. With all the love and great respect, if this night had never taken place for me, if this honor was never afforded to me, please understand that my basketball cup and heart would still be full. That's because of the amazing people I have been able to meet over my lifetime playing wheelchair basketball. All over the world, actually. From the Southwest, from the South Side to worldwide. I've loved and enjoyed every minute of the experience that I've had playing wheelchair basketball. In addition, I'm truly blessed to have been able to watch acorns grow from, I've been able to watch acorns grow into oaks. I've watched Jeremy Opilati as a 12-year-old camper become an amazing basketball player, coach, and mentor. Similarly, Christina, Barney, Rip Schwab, I've been able to watch do the same thing, grow from a camper to player to coach. I've seen Becca Murray, also a camper of mine. I've watched her excel and dominate at every level. I've watched Jeff Glassbrenner sit in a ball chair for the very first time. He's gone on to great heights, literally. I was on Jake Williams' first team in 2008, 2009, when he was newly injured. watching him go from being a good shooter in 2008 to a dominant multi-MVP recipient to coach to leader, and it makes me so proud. I've even seen Will Waller play wheelchair softball in his little Cubs uniform from day one, back in the early 90s. And so, again, you know, with age comes experience and comes some great sights. And so I've been able to witness a lot of those things. I've witnessed the rise of Matt Scott from his first visit to Whitewater in a little chair that was very low to the ground to his magnificent, life-changing Matt Scott Fly brand. And it's incredible and so gratifying for me to have a front row to witness all of these individuals and their growth and how they've excelled. And again, it's an ultimate fulfillment of a lifetime. I thank you all for this honor, this night, and all of your support that made this reality. I wouldn't have been here without you. I love and thank you all. I thank you.
Eric E. Barber, welcome to the Hall of Fame, brother. Yes, sir. Let's do one photo op. All right, brother. Yep. Thank you, guys. All right, hey, this night is not even close to being attainable without you spectating it. We so appreciate you taking the time, racing around this town from one championship game or wherever you were coming from. We appreciate you very, very much, because without you, it would lack the luster and the importance that's due. So that's the story for the evening. One last reminder to QR code it up. That'll be on the screen or at your table. And then following that, we'll have group photos, all inductees and presenters, and all Hall of Fame members that want to grace their presence up on the stage. We have ring boxes and things. If you haven't picked them up, Hall of Famers, make sure you get your boxes, plaques, and so forth. But it's truly my honor to close tonight's ceremony with resounding success. Thank you for all contributing to that. Thank you very much, and travel home safely.